What's poppin', everybody? Welcome to Culture Pop Season 1, Episode 19. I am your host, Josh McDonald. If you're wondering, where's Alberto Magnifico? Fear not, he will be here soon. He's just a little behind. But while we don't have him yet, we do have, a stacked show tonight, a lot of stuff to discuss. And I think I needed to make sure I got some quality people in here for that. And we got a special guest tonight that we've been talking probably about a month or so, trying to work out schedules and get him on. But we have the extremely talented Frank Zanca in the house. Hello, Frank. How are you, sir?
Hey, thanks for having me on. Finally, after a month.
I know. Hey, you're a busy man, so
it's all here. Blame it on me.
I mean, look, I'm busy too, but no, you had a really good opportunity come up, and I was like, dude, like, by all means, you have to do that. I want to start off because I think if people watch or tune in to Wes on Thinking Critical, they're probably familiar with you. But if I've got people that don't kind of go into that segment, they may not know who you are. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about you. You're a writer. You've got some film background. Give us a kind of rundown of who is Frank Zanca.
So I am an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, comic book writer, and on top of that, I'm a working line producer. I mostly line produce and UPM. I was in LA for 18 years. And after film has basically dried up there, I am now trying my hand in Atlanta. So I just moved out, drove across the country in my little Prius, and 3,500 miles later. And I'm like, is it going to make it? My car going to be in it?
Yeah, that drive is brutal. And you went further than I had to go.
I've done it twice now, and I don't want to do it again because I moved from Florida out to LA originally. So I've done it twice. I don't want to do it again. But this time I got a pod, and the pod met me over there, and that was the extent of that.
Nice.
So I'm in a place that's probably twice the size of what I had in LA, and for a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, we're seeing. So I'm in Texas, but I'd say the past 3 years we've definitely seen rents spike, just because so many people are moving, from metropolitan areas or even LA, New York. So what's cheap to them is expensive to us, and
and that's why I didn't even bother trying to look downtown Atlanta because that's where everybody moved to. That's from LA. And the prices there are more than they are in LA. And I'm like, what am I?
It's crazy. It's just insane. I didn't realize this until we were talking backstage, but when you first moved to Los Angeles, you moved out there around the exact same time that I moved out there. So probably around the end of mid to end 2007.
It was May of 2006.
May of 2006. Gotcha. So you got there about a year before I did, but interesting. I'm sure we could have fun conversations because you're talking about how all the work's in Atlanta, and I feel like most of the film work that I hear about is either Atlanta, New Orleans, or it's up in Canada. And
that's right.
Despite a lovely Canadian that's always in these chats, hello Zax, who wants to move to Canada? Work there, sure, but move there. But why don't you go ahead, as far as your writing, talk about some of the writing that you do, because I did put a link to your site. So for your books, you've got four novels.
I haven't put I have a lot more than that. So I have 4 sci-fi novels that are in the same sequence. So that's called Destiny Aurora. So that is my combo of Star Trek, Star Wars, I guess. They're space cops. So it's got the military type of thing set up, but it's more action-y than cerebral. So the So I have a 4 novel series, but it also got made into a full graphic novel. So it's 150
Heck yeah.
pages long. And so this is an adaptation of the first book. And the audiobook just came out in Audible. And I had a husband-wife team do it. So all the voices are done by female male. So it sounds like a little more of a radio show. But Destiny, and then Destiny World also became a board game. It's like it's got miniatures with it and stuff like that. And it also is an RPG with Starfinder. So it's got a whole gambit of stuff with it. So I created a whole world.
You created a whole like brand. You've got a whole like lifestyle brand around
Well,
that.
here's what happened. So the first book came out, and then the board game was just coming out, and I met with Len Weissman's group, right? You know who that is? Len Weissman?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he did Underworld.
Yep.
He was married to Kate Beckinsale. He did the Total Recall remake. He did Lucifer, all that shit. So, and for all you people out there that are, thinking you're just coming to LA, you're going to pitch something and you're going to be, an instant success. So this is what he told me. So he said, and this was on a call. Of course, I had emailed everything to them, and I had visited their office at one time, but Len Weissman was only on the phone. I didn't physically meet with him. And so they said, we love everything. The problem is you. And he didn't mean to be mean about it. He wasn't, trying to, belittle me. What he was saying that was that if he was going to Universal for $150 million, I was a nobody.
Yep.
And he couldn't do that. He couldn't take me and my work in there. So everybody's like, well, it's your, isn't it that made the object that makes you famous? No, it's the other way around. You have to be famous first nowadays. You can't walk in with nothing, or you have to walk in with attachments of A-list actors or whatever. So he said, get your numbers up and then we'll meet again. So I've been trying. That's what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to get my numbers up. And now it's 6-7 years later, and I'm pretty much still in the same boat.
Oh yeah, I learned that sick cycle of you got to be somebody to do something. Because I would have meetings, and it was very much like, we love it, but you're nobody. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I get to be somebody? And like, well, you got to be somebody to become somebody. And you're like,
that's the same thing as producing, because you have to get the money to get the A-list actors, but you can't get the A-list actors without the money. So what's chicken or egg? Well, what is it? So you're in the same boat here. You're as you are with comics.
Oh yeah.
So comics is the same way, because they told me the same thing when I pitched stuff to DC. DC's like, I can get Paul Dini in here and stuff like that. Why would I take you? So it's pretty much the same boat. And then, so this is my newest book. I noticed in Kickstarter that the sci-fi doesn't have the fan base that fantasy does. So fantasy genre. So this is called Tales of Ravenor, the Iron Witch. And I also watched a few videos. They said, don't make anything like the Chosen One and don't make everything like medieval Europe. So their continent is mixed up of a whole bunch of different cultures. So I have like an Egyptian. Everybody prays to different gods and stuff like that. So I have Egyptian, I have Asian, I have Greek, I have little sections, Norse, and everything like that. So and then the Iron Witch lives on another island, and she's basically invading. So it's the story of this girl Freya, and she comes across the Stormveil. When she gets across, she doesn't remember anything of her past, but she's got scars and stuff like that. She knows that she was running from something, and we get to learn what's going on with her as she does. So it's almost like Born, so you're kind of learning about him as we go the same way. So
nice.
So I really need to sit down and write the second book. I write cliffhangers, and then I'm like, I'll figure it out later.
That's how it goes sometimes,
I know. I laid out like what the first, the second, and third book are, what the through line is.
Yeah.
But the exact of what happens with each one of the characters, I make that.
Oh yeah, so I love when you're writing something and you have an idea of how it's going to go, and then as you're writing it, your characters or your story naturally develops on its own. That kind of changes things, and then you
Absolutely.
get that finish, and then you're like, well, I really don't know how we're going to get from point A to point B. I'll figure it out later, and you just kind of
Or your characters start telling the story for you.
yeah,
So
that too.
I one of the first books I ever wrote, it was also a comic that released in 1995. That's how long I've been writing comics and shit like that on the independent side. And I had this character that his only job was to die. That was his one job, was to die. He couldn't even get that right. So in the end, I liked him so much that I let him live, and he ended up becoming partners with the superhero. It was called Shadow Raven, so it was kind of like a dark hero in the future kind of thing. And so he was supposed to die by the hands of the villain, but instead he just gets knocked out. But anyway, so when I ended up writing future stuff, he was my grounding character. He was the guy that saw everything else as fantastical, and he was the guy, trying to climb up the stairs when the other guy jumped, 3 stories into the window. So, that kind of thing. So yeah, definitely my characters have written themselves before. So
Awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and give a fair warning. My internet is throttling really bad, so if I get a little
you froze up a
mechanical,
couple of times where your face just kind of stays.
hopefully my audio is still coming through. If I freeze up, just take.
But I can't say anything else because even today my internet was giving me trouble. So
welcome to
the woods.
Yeah, pretty much. I hear crap about it all the time. Wes in the Philippines is like, dude, how do I have better internet than you? And I'm like, go away.
I need to go out there and visit him one day.
Oh yeah, same. He's supposed to be making a trip over here to the States. I think it's next year, the year after next. So we'll have to plan something. I know he's gonna hit a couple of different states, but I don't know where all he plans on going yet. Before we jump into tonight's topics, I do want to kind of just run through the chat real quick and say hello to some people. So that Canadian that I mentioned earlier, Zax, is in the house. Hello, Zax. And just to remind everyone, he is a Maple Leaf. Yes. He wishes he was American, but it's okay. We've also got Yul Carter in the house. Hello, Yul. How are you, sir? Yul also has a show on Tuesday nights. Go check him out on Fantastic Comics. And if you're looking for some comics, go talk to Yul. You might be able to purchase them through him. We've got Mrs. Sassy Sasquatch. Hello, Mrs. C. Yo, Mrs. C, where's my sausage and pep? Hopefully we'll see cannoli in here in a little bit. Oh, and look who it is. It is that lovable little crayon eater, Max Von Priestley. I'm here for the Twunk representation. I can't remember how this started.
What's up, Max?
I cannot remember. At one point, gay slang came up for different subgroups, I guess, of the gay community, and then it became a full educational lesson for Max of teaching him this is what this means, this is what this means, this is what this means, and it's twunk? A twunk is like are you familiar with what a twink is? Like a skinny. Yeah. Okay, and then so a twunk is like a hunky twink, like a muscular. But he's been having fun learning these phrases and rightfully giving me crap about it. We have Jana in the house. Hello, Jana. Sup, boners. That is Jana's calling call when she comes in. Everyone's a boner, even if you're not a male. And we have the husband here, Cannoli Sasquatch. So just to kind of plug, Zax has a show on Wednesday nights called What's Good Wednesday, where he tends to focus on a lot of good stuff going on because there's a lot of negativity out there. And he tends to have independent creators on. So I might need to get you and Zax connected a little bit to talk about some stuff sometime. And then Cannoli's got a couple of different shows, but he's got a Movie Madness Mayhem that's on Monday nights. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of panel, and they just kind of discuss different movies. It gets really entertaining and a little heated sometimes. Zack Snyder shows, movies. But great show there as well. So welcome in, everybody. We're going to go ahead and kind of pull in the presentation. So when we were first talking, I kind of mentioned, is there anything specific that you wanted to bring to the table and discuss? And you gave me 3 topics, and I picked one. I'm saving the other 2. That's my, hopefully we'll have you back.
All right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But one
Max
of the things.
I love
Oh yeah. One of the things you'd mentioned is writing movies versus comics. And I think we're getting in this world now where I don't even think it's just movies and comics. I think you're starting to see this blend of people not being able to differentiate writing books to comics to movies to television, and they're all very, very different. So I want you to go ahead and kind of start off with your perspective on this, and we'll jump in and we'll run with it from there.
All right. So when it comes to writing in general, you have to have, your character arcs, your hero's journey, as everybody knows. So I think that's uniform kind of throughout, is that we have to have an interesting character that we're following, and maybe he's picking up other characters along the way, and from there, then with a movie, you have to have your acts, right? And normally it's a 3-act structure or whatever. But with comics, it's more of a serial, right? So it depends on what type of comic. I guess we're talking about superhero comics for the most part here, as opposed to slice of life,
Right?
Because they're both very different, and of course, anime is completely different as well.
Absolutely.
But with superhero comics, it's more of a serial. So you have your introduction, which either could be a cold open or whatever. And a cold open means you're starting out with action, even though we have no idea why that action is occurring. And then we have some kind of a lead into characters, and then we have more action, and then we have more, whatever. So it kind of does, more of this and then this, where it comes back up at the end, and that's where your cliffhanger is. And it's got to end with some kind of a cliffhanger for bring people back, and it's the same way it used to do in the serials back in the 40s or whatever. So that's how I think that the difference is that one, we're doing an act structure, and the other one we're doing as a serial where it just goes on and on and on and on. Even though a lot of people write for the graphic novel where it's 5 or 6 issues for an arc, and then we start out with another arc because the writers don't know how long they have going to be on that run. So I think that's why they do it that way. Writing for the 5 or 6 issue arc, and some of the ones I wish they ended earlier.
Oh man, especially these days. It's really interesting when you and I think you're right. I think one, I'll say I don't think story structure is taken as seriously these days as it needs to be taken seriously, depending on the medium that you're writing in or writing for. And there's a writer for television and comics named Brian Edward Hill, and he was he was at a con panel one time talking about his approach to writing.
I'm reading something by him. What's he writing right now?
He's got Blade right now, but
Blade.
Yeah,
Blade.
It's not one of my favorite things he's done. I think he's done some solid work in the past. This is not one of my favorite. I feel like he's phoning it in with Marvel and DC now when he does stuff with them, just because they yank his chain so much. But he was talking about how he approaches each one, and comics serialized, but also since the publishers kind of want you to write for the arc now. They want you to have a 5-6 issue story that kind of goes and you have your narrative complete. But he discussed comics as being the most efficient form of storytelling that he's ever had to write for, meaning you don't have a huge page count. You don't have to be overly detailed with your scripts because you should have that visual storytelling there. Also in a different way than film is, though, because you kind of have to get that pacing going. But you still have that, while you have that 6-issue arc, you still want to have that like you said, that end of the issue pop up that's going to want people to come back the following month and pick up that second issue. And I don't feel like we see that in comics these days. I feel like so much of what we see is just either one long drawn out story or it's a whole lot of nothing in each issue.
Yeah, and the other thing that's different is in film, you can rely on your actors to tell the story with visual facial expression changes.
Yep.
So if a lot of times you'll say, well, her laughter changed to a frown, or you could see the look in her eyes that something's been revealed, and you really can't do that with comics to a certain extent. You can't unless you're using multiple panels, almost like a film thing where you're showing the change. It's not it's, as you said, it's not really efficient to do that, so you have to tell it in a different way where that where that reveal comes from. And a lot of times it was back in the day it was thought balloons, and you can't the thought balloons have kind of died off, although I heard that like in I didn't read Immortal Thor, but I heard in Immortal Thor they were bringing that back as well. So
yeah, I do have. I'm going to bring up a few comments real quick. So Zach's being the little joker that he is. Oh no, why doesn't Josh like Blade? AJ, cover your ears. AJ, cover your ears, buddy. Cover your ears. Also, Zach's is sharing the link to Frank's YouTube channel, so make sure you go check him out. Give him a subscribe.
Thank you for that.
Of course, Zach's is the man. Like we stand high on his shoulders. I'll put it that way. But yeah. Some of Frank's information is also in the description area if you want to follow him on Twitter, and then also go check out his website for some of his work. But Yul jumped in and said, I felt his Blade was the best he's done. So that's Brian Everhill. I loved his Batman and the Outsiders. I thought that was a really good work, and I loved his Angel.
Oh, he did Angel from Buffy?
Yeah, so when Boom first relaunched, he was writing Angel, and I can't remember who was writing Buffy, but they had Dane Moore on art.
Max is leaving.
Oh,
Max is leaving. So
gotcha. Max, see you later, brother. Go to school.
He's
going to class. Yeah,
I thought he took his exam already.
He still got some stuff left. We like to give him a hard time for being a nerd, but it is what it is.
All right, back to Blade. Sorry.
Back to Blade. Yeah. So just I don't know. For me, this Blade story hasn't been hitting with me like I was hoping it would, and that might be more expectation playing a role in that than.
I am reading Blade, and I really like the characters that are in there. They're a little bit different, and the fact that he has his X and stuff like that, and the whole thing with the Mind Flayer. I liked all that. But in this past issue with the train, first of all, the train is made of adamantium. What? What? How much adamantium is there that they can make an entire train out of it?
Right.
And then and then Doctor Strange shows up and says, "Yeah, I'll help you get in, I'll help you get out," but that's about as far as I'm going. So that was kind of odd. And then then the big baddie, as they're about to get into the little tussle, he basically rips open his own head, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sets himself on fire, right? He kind of spontaneously combusts. And then, right at the end there, Doctor Strange takes the train into a portal or whatever, right? And I guess he pops them right to the villain, right?
I guess.
I thought that was, I don't know, because he only has a 5. I thought he had 6, but it feels extremely rushed.
Yeah. Marvel has pushed their arcs back to 5 issues, and you might even start seeing 4-issue arcs. And it's strictly a monetary reason. They can still collect it as a trade, charge the same price that they've been charging for a 6-issue arc, and get that little boost in sales when they sell the trades. It's shady, and I think it hinders the story. But
especially at $5 now. Well, Blade's not 5 yet, but we're getting there.
Oh, we're getting there. So much stuff is creeping up to. I bought a comic this last week that was like $7.99, and I didn't realize it till after the fact, and I wasn't happy about it because I didn't care for it. But I can't remember what it is now. But I do want to talk about. So let's look at, say we've got a comic story, and you've got maybe a comic book or an arc that you really liked. How would you approach that from a structure standpoint? How would you change things up if you were going to move that to either a television series or a film?
Yeah, like you said, it does not correlate exactly. It's never going to correlate exactly. I think the closest they tried to do that with was Watchmen. I mean, some of that stuff was, frame for frame kind of thing, except for the ending. So I was wondering how they were going to do the giant squid. I'm like, But with film and television, you have to develop the characters differently because you have 2 hours to deal with, if not less, as opposed to we're going to make this issue, which is TV, right?
Mhm.
You're centralizing one character and maybe doing backstory on that character, kind of like what they did with Lost. Each
Yep.
character, each episode was a different point of view of another character. And also with, like, if you ever notice how they did with Friends, they had an ABC story with Friends, and each episode they would link up a different friend together, right?
Mhm.
So it would be these two, and then these two, and then they next episode they'd swap them. So, but each one of the A, B, and C stories they would link two of them together, and so with movies and television shows, you have to have not only the structure, but you're also have an A and B story, throughout, so that you can introduce characters. And what I realized, like, I was watching One Piece. Did you see One Piece? I'm not a fan of anime, but I said I decided that I would give it a shot. But did you see it, or have you watched it at all?
Are you talking about I have not watched the live action. No.
Yeah, the Netflix one.
Yeah. No, I have not yet.
So what I realized is how they were able to introduce these characters is that they introduced the main character, and then the main character moved along, and then another character was introduced, and he gobbled him up, and then they moved on to the next character and gobbled her up, and then they became a group, right? So you're introducing the main character, he's still the driving force, but then we introduce the other characters as supporting, right?
Right.
And I think that's the problem with the original Suicide Squad and with Eternals, is that they just threw all the characters at the screen at once,
Yep.
which is off-putting. And because
Absolutely.
we don't know who the main character is, we don't know who we're supposed to be rooting for, we don't know who we're supposed to be following. It's just this big ensemble, and instead of feeling like we're attached to either one or two or even three of the characters, we're attached to none,
Mhm.
because it's just too much information at once.
Absolutely.
And I, like, even with things like Star Trek, where we have, the three main characters, or even Star Wars with the three main characters, we're still introduced to one character first, and then, we get to see the sideline characters and then become an ensemble. Which one's more important than the other? Luke, yes, Luke may be more important than Leia and Han, but, technically by the end, they were just all important as each other. And the same with Kirk and Spock and McCoy. So,
Yep.
so I think that's also where it's different with comics, because with comics, you can almost throw, a whole bunch of characters like X-Men at the page, and then say, okay, well, now we're going to focus on this character. Now we're going to focus on this character. So, which with film, you can't do it. And I think that's what the detriment of some of these films are.
Oh, absolutely. We're seeing that now, and we're going to have a heavy Marvel discussion session in a bit. But we're seeing that with Marvel really bad, because it's kind of like a key jingling of look at these characters, but we're not really getting good story or good substance out of it. And you mentioned the Suicide Squad film, and that first one that came out, I guess 2015, 2016, somewhere around in there. I remember it was like the first 40 to 45 minutes. I just felt like the movie dragged on, because it was just like a feature session of here's this character, here's this character, here's this character. And it was kind of like all the characters were just on parade. And I remember, like, I was reaching an hour in. I'm like, dude, we're an hour into this film, and I don't feel like the movie has even started yet. Like, let's get going. But then you have so little time to then tell your story that everything feels rushed. So, you never really get to dig into your characters. You never really get to dig into the plot. And that's kind of why you get left feeling kind of you had something that was lacking substance.
Right. But then look at Reservoir Dogs, right?
Yep.
So look how he did that. So he would tell the story, right? And then he would break off and say, here's the backstory on this character, right? And then we'd tell the story again, and we'd break off and tell, a little backstory on that character, right? Am I thinking about the same movie, right? He did do like Mr. Whatever, and then, whatever. and then he'd do like the little anecdote. They tried to do that with Bullet Train, but not as successfully.
Right.
You see that one?
Yeah.
Even did a break off on the water bottle. It's like,
yep. I was gonna say, because I was trying to think of someone that I felt like did this well, and I've always felt like Joss Whedon did really well with ensembles and kind of balancing them properly. And then James Gunn, and when Guardians of the Galaxy first came out, it was all new characters. They were definitely like D-list characters. I think a lot of people even went in thinking like, I don't know, this is going to be that one Marvel movie that just finally doesn't work. And I feel like he balanced his characters perfectly.
Right. But look what he did. He did it like the Wizard of Oz thing, like I was just saying. He started out with Star-Lord, and then Star-Lord ended up gobbling up the other characters as he went, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing where we didn't know as much about the other characters that we knew about that character, but it worked as he began to bring them into himself, as opposed to just throwing them all at the screen at once.
Absolutely.
So he did it. He did it the right way, and I think that and that had the right amount of comedy versus action versus drama.
Yes.
And they tried to copy that, and it's never worked because I think that was a flash in the pan. I don't think that could be copied.
Yeah, I was watching, I'm trying to remember who, it was a YouTuber kind of discussing different people's take on comedy. And there's definitely been this like shtick to comedy of like, okay, we're going to have something that's serious or heavy, but we're going to throw a joke in there. And there are scripts that are written that infuse comedy, and it serves a purpose. It serves a purpose to the character, or it serves a purpose to the plot, but it does serve a purpose. And then there are people that try to infuse it, and they just have it there for a slapstick moment. And I feel like when you just have it there for a slapstick moment, it never seems to land properly.
A la Thor, yeah.
Oh, yes, Thor, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, She-Hulk for me. Oof, it was rough.
I'm a big She-Hulk fan. I'm a big She-Hulk fan, and I could not. I watched it loathingly.
Yeah, I tried to find things to enjoy in that show, and it was very difficult. There were moments that I enjoyed in certain episodes, but overall, man, I struggled. Really.
Right, like the scene with She-Hulk and Wong fighting the little flyy things.
Yeah, the little demons.
I like that scene. I like the scene with her and Daredevil on the roof, even though she was like destroying tons of property damage as a lawyer.
Yes.
Yeah. I hope she knows how to sue herself, but.
But yeah, I mean, like it's we're like trying to find little flecks of hope in a series that just was not pulled together well. And then you also mentioned Eternals.
When we can't be funny. That's
what. Oh yeah, when we can't be. We're gonna go through some of these chats in a second because I see my guys being crazy in here. You mentioned Eternals, and I remember when Eternals came out, there was this like hype for it. People being like, "Oh, it's the best thing that we've done on a technical level," yada yada yada. And it came out, and it was just boring. Same problems as Suicide Squad. And I remember the second time I watched it to try to, because I even if I dislike a film, I try to watch it twice. Because the first time I watched it,
I've seen it 3 times, but I love the cast.
Yeah. I go in.
She was awesome in that.
So. Say that again.
I love Angelina Jolie, and I thought she was great.
I mean, there are definitely things that I really like about it, and there's a lot that I definitely do not. But I typically go into my first viewing, and I've discovered that I have so much expectation or anticipation that sometimes that alone can ruin or make an experience for me. So I usually go back and try to watch it again. And there's a really good story there with a lot of really good themes. It's just a mess. And you don't have that structure to really kind of highlight and carry those themes like they should have been carried and presented. And again, because we're going to really kind of delve into structure here.
But again, they gave too much power to the director because she wrote it too. Well, she was one of the writers. So she's never been in superheroes before ever.
Nope.
But let me give you a writing and directing job. You know, when you give the directors too much power to write, and I think that's what happened with Thor. That's what happened with Wonder Woman. And that's even what happened to a certain degree with Star Wars.
Yes.
So Lucas never. The best film was one that Lucas had no credit on.
Right.
Which is Empire. But when he went and did, I'm not a fan of the prequels. I'm definitely not a fan of the sequels. I'm not even talking about that. But the prequels, I think that a lot of it just went to his head, where he just said, "This is what we're doing," period. The same thing with Indiana Jones and Crystal Skull. I remember I didn't get to see that in opening weekend, which I was so excited to see, and everybody was like, "Yeah, it's bad." I'm like, "It's Indiana Jones. Not gonna be bad."
Yep.
And then I went and saw it. I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's bad."
And then retrospectively, now we're like, okay, it was okay compared to
with the character. We have words at least in there.
Lordy. Let me run through some of these comments real quick. So we got Nosferatu the Vampire. Hello, Nos. And he put an adamantium train. Those were Wolverine's frat days. He doesn't talk about. That would be a fun Elseworld comic to just kind of go have at it with. We've got Flaccid Phoenix in the house. Hello, Flaccid. How are you, sir? Let's see. What else do we have here? I know Jana has been going through. This is an inside joke, but has anyone checked on Irene? Has anyone checked on someone? Someone let me know if you've checked on Irene. And then it's now Irene instead of Eileen. But yeah.
Is that from the song? Is that what's that's from?
It's coming from a stream that they had recently, and it's a long. Oh, hello! Look who we have here. Hello, good sir. How are you?
Hey,
pretty good. Hey, how's my audio?
Your audio is good.
Oh, okay, weird. It's not. I don't know. Everything feels wrong.
Everyone stare at Aaron.
But it feels so wrong. It's gonna be wrong.
There we go. I don't know what's going on. We'll be just everything here.
I do have Zach's. One Piece made it a priority to cast people who resembled the manga and anime characters. Eternals did the opposite. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's some credence there. I think if you ever go too far from a comic, you're gonna have people that are gonna reject it just based on their affinity and their love for it, because they're gonna feel like it's not being true. It's always a toss-up, though. Frank, did you watch the Sandman series on Netflix?
What?
The Sandman series on Netflix?
Yes, until they race swapped, gender swapped, and I got out.
Yeah. It was one of those things. So I tried the benefit of the doubt.
Originally, I'm watching. I'm like, that's supposed to be Constantine's daughter, and then I realized that was Constantine, and I'm like, and then they brought Death in, and I'm like, fine, have the actress just paint her white.
Yeah,
because she's white pale, but they brought in a black actress, and I'm like, oh, come on, man.
And then she was just in like jeans and a tank top. Yeah, that was one of the things. I thought the actress did fine. I liked, there was that, I think episode 5 or episode 6 with her. I thought it was a great episode, but I was so let down because I wanted that iconic look. And
exactly.
Yeah.
And in fact, when Deadpool 2 came out, I'm a big Domino fan.
Yeah.
And when Domino came out, I'm like, what? That's not Domino. And then Gail Simone in Twitter wrote, "Oh, I just saw that, because she was writing Domino at the time."
Yep.
I said, "I just saw a thing," and I'm like, I said, "Yeah, the actress was great, but that wasn't Domino." And I got called a racist for 48 hours straight.
Welcome to Twitter.
And then the people that stuck up for me, because I said, "Look, just have a different character. The actress was fine." But I'm like, I said, what color is the woman that plays Gamora? What color is Gamora? You have no problem with that? So it's the same thing. But
yeah.
But yeah, so when they did all that to Sandman, I'm like, oh, you can't do all that to Sandman. Constantine.
In the case of Domino, I think that it was, they didn't really do a race swap. They just did a domino switch. So instead of a white domino with black markings, you had a black domino with white markings.
Come on, the character is completely iconic,
No,
so
it
her
is.
evil twin sister, right?
and that in the case of like death and things like that, it is, that is. It would be like if you did the Joker, and you just cast a black guy, and you didn't have him wear any makeup. Yeah, it's because that
you're not going to paint him white
skin. Yeah, the completely white skin is just very striking, and that's part of the character. That's part of the character's visual look, and it matters less what the race of the actor is underneath.
Exactly what I wrote,
because
it did not matter. It did not
matter. Yes, you're absolutely right. Like Gamora. I mean, there's no reason that she can't be Zoe Saldana.
Right.
I'm not actually sure.
It didn't matter what the actress was underneath.
What is Zoe Saldana? Is she Puerto Rican? What is she? I'm not even sure.
She's half black, half Spanish, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, and it doesnesn't matter because she's green.
Doesn't matter.
She's supposed to be.
Yeah. Agreed.
The actual race of the actress is irrelevant to the character.
Mm-hmm.
So
I would like Jonathan Majors a lot more as Kang if he was just blue all the time.
That's what I said about that too. I'm like, when he was in the thing when his face was blue, he looked like the character. Yeah. Why'd you have to have the helmet off him at all? In fact, the same thing with MODOK. I'm like, oh no, put the helmet back on. Put the helmet back on.
Oh god.
Yeah, and I was like, where's his bowl cut? Come on.
Oh no. I don't even. I've tried to forcefully remove anything related to MODOK in that film, like just from my brain.
They showed it in the trailer with the mask on. I'm like, okay, he doesn't look half bad. But then when they took it off, I'm like, oh my god, can I walk out now? I need to close my eyes.
It was so bad.
It was like a film that was done by amateurs at that point.
We're gonna specifically touch on that film in a little bit. I did want to touch back on the Domino situation because I was gonna say that she's an Domino instead of Oreo. It's an Domino. But but Aaron, you came in perfect timing. We had been discussing, the difference in writing comics versus film or TV. And since you have a history, and also as does Frank, and writing both comics and writing for television, kind of going that route, I would love to hear kind of what your approach is that's different if you're going to different mediums, because you have to approach it with a different mindset of how you're going to tell your story.
Yeah, you don't get to do as much shorthand, I think, in writing for TV or writing for movies. Writing a screenplay, you have to spell things out more. You have to define things more because basically all of your stage direction is in there. And obviously someone who's going to come in and direct will then take that. But you have to give them a basis upon which to build all of these things. You do have to do that in comics, but you have to do it to a lesser extent because if you're working with a talented artist and if you're working with an artist that you're familiar with, you actually develop a shorthand with them. So, for example, when I work on a script with Silvani, there's going to be less detail in the script because I know that he gets it. I know that he gets what I'm talking about. I know that he gets the sensibility, and he's going to deliver something that's better than I'm going to map out anyway. Now, he does ask me to map things out just so that he has a basis from which to jump off from, so that he kind of understands what I'm thinking of. But from there, he can take it in his own direction. And so and obviously writing a comic book script, you're not limited by what the budget's going to be. You're not limited by, any of those considerations like, this has to be set in a like I was just thinking of Samurai Cop the other day. And all those movies like Samurai Cop, where it's like, well, okay, we're going to make a movie. What do we have access to? Well, we have access to grandma's house, and we can set up the one bedroom where she has the big yarn lion. We can set that up as like an office in a restaurant. But she won't let us take the lion down, so that's got to stay. So we'll just work around it. We'll have it in the frame for the entire film or the entire scene, and just awkwardly disturb that scene. So those are like a lot of the considerations that you go in with. Whereas with comics, you can be like, all right, well now, here's the exterior shot of the planet, and now this fleet, this armada comes out of hyperspace, and they're surrounding the planet, and and et cetera, and there's nobody going like, look, we don't have the budget for that.
That is absolutely true. That's one of the reasons I got into comics originally, is that any budget I wanted to play with, I could play with. Although a lot of the writers that I budget sometimes don't understand budget whatsoever. They just write off the wall. With that one guy who wants to be a DP, he says, "Look, I'll give you guys $100,000 to make a movie just so I can DP it." So he's going to pay for it out of his pocket. And this guy wrote the script. He's like, "Here, take a look at it." And I'm like, it has multiple locations and like 30 people in it. And I'm like, for $100,000, man, you crazy. You need one location. That's what you got. That's what you got to play with. So it's crazy. And then people don't realize what extras cost.
Yeah.
Because I make half my living just doing budgets for films that never get made. And so I'm doing a budget right now, and it's going to be just a couple $1 million, right? $2-3 million. And they have, throughout the length of the script, they have like almost 300 extras. I'm like, do you realize that's $100,000 right there if you go on the cheap? Crazy.
You guys don't have friends that can show up and in the background? Like what?
Yeah. A lot of friends that I have that have made like indie films or like little projects that they have relied heavily on friends if they need crowd scenes. For that very reason, like it's so expensive, because even if you get someone that's in a crowd and maybe it's that one person that has one line, but they're a SAG actor, like you've got to pay them a minimum.
Right. Well, that's the whole point too, is that even if they're not SAG, you have to pay them SAG minimums.
Yeah.
Because your show is SAG. So even if you bring in a non-SAG actor, and you still have to pay them the SAG wages, even if they're non-union.
Yeah, just like even if like you come in and you write like an episode of television or things that it's like you don't necessarily have to or even the animation union, you don't have to join it by just writing one until you've written like a second episode. You're writing your first episode, you don't necessarily have to join the union.
Well, that makes
you
you
going to get
right.
You're now eligible, but you're going to get paid the rate.
Right.
Absolutely. We do have a few comments that I wanted to highlight real quick. So we have Zach's let the characters do the heavy lifting. This is I think this goes back to a question that Max had asked us one time on his stream, Aaron, and is, are you more character driven or plot driven? And I definitely think I would say I'm more character driven. I think if you make engaging characters, people will enjoy time with the characters. That being said, you still need to have a plot that's going to drive the film or the series as a whole.
Right. You can have a great plot, but if your characters don't connect with people, it doesn't matter how brilliant your plot is. They're going to check out before you can really even get the plot rolling. It's that it's the investment in character. It's like, hey, do I like this person? Do I want to see, or maybe I don't like them, but I want to see where this is going. I want to see their, they have to be compelling, and that's what draws you in. I think that's my opinion.
When you get a fork in the road, the characters have to be able to make a decision. You can't just have the plot push them along. They got to make decisions to push the plot as well. So it's kind of a mixture between the two, I think.
Which leads us into what I want to talk about, Robin Hood. Okay.
I've avoided Robin Hood, but maybe I should check it out.
I'm going to make Wes do it.
It's only on Canadian television, right?
Yeah, I think that it needs to be discussed by everybody because it's now just ballooned into a circus outside of the show.
Oh, it's called Robin in the Hood, though, right? Isn't that what it's called?
They live on the corner of Sherwood and Forest, Josh. Come on.
Oh, I'll have to get drunk.
Oh, I've watched everybody's review on them, but I've not seen the show. It looks. And here there are people that worked on the new Gotham Knight show, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that was a terrible show.
How is all of this so hard to get right? That's what I can't understand about. Where did all the talent go? I feel like we used to get more good shows than bad, or at least it was an equilibrium. And now I feel like almost nobody knows how to do anything in Hollywood anymore.
Yeah, I would say I think we're in that time. We're in this weird time period where we fall victim to that. There's so much content out there. There's so many people providing content that they are taking so much of whatever they can get. Back in the day, I feel like there were less networks, less stations, whatever, to put shows out, to put films out, whatever it might be. So, the studios had to be more selective in what they picked. And now I think it's like, well, we have to fill time slots. Let's just give it a go and see if it works. And I don't really agree with that method, but I do think it's part of the reality we're seeing.
It's also the fact that they're only choosing certain people to write. And those people do not have to have a experience. I'll put it that way.
So it's the casting of writers, the casting.
Yes, yeah. So I worked on a certain show that I can't name, and I can tell you that I had more credits than the directors they brought in to direct a $5 million+ episode, purely because of what they and who they were.
Yep.
Just putting it out there.
Checking boxes based on personal lifestyles.
Jeremy,
yeah,
that's why they pulled Jeremy off of Flash, even though they ended up put Cy Sparrow on there. So he didn't know that he had Green Lantern until later.
What is Cy Spurrier's qualification to be on there?
I have no idea, but I'm just telling you, Jeremy was pretty shocked.
What is Cy Spurrier's qualification to be on anything?
I never even heard his name until recently.
It's his qualification to be on the bus.
Yeah, yeah. Cy has been around for a little while. I've never. I can't think of one thing that I remember reading of his that I really got ingrained in. I know some people have mentioned some of his indie work. I still haven't had luck, so he just may not be for me. But
I mean, that's the way that I feel too. It's like, is he just not for me, or is it just, is very little of this for me anymore? Because everybody's kind of at this very kind of mediocre talent level, and so when you get somebody who's like a little bit better than mediocre, it just like we're like all raving about it for a minute or two. Like when James Tynion came on Batman, and I don't particularly enjoy James Tynion all that much, but compared to what we had, like it was like a breath of fresh air. So it's like, oh my God. This is mildly competent. Thank you.
As opposed to what we're getting with Gotham War right now. Oh my God! As soon as this thing's over, I'm dropping everything but Teeny Howard / Chip.
I'm not even reading. I'm not.
Has anybody even thought about the fact that she is an escaped convict and nobody is looking for her? And not to mention, she broke out 5 or 6 other superpowered people and nobody cares. It's just the weirdest thing.
Well, because she's a strong woman, and there's that strong woman clause in the Gotham law books. It's like
I watched Wes's thing today. I obviously comics haven't come out yet until tomorrow, but yeah, I heard that Batman cries in the new Catwoman comic book. So,
oh God,
and she holds him like a baby in her chest. So.
Yeah, no. I know Gabe
if he's
was
faking it just to be held like a baby in Catwoman. Like that little kid. Have you seen that kid? That meme of that kid where he's like, I'm so upset, and then I think it's Rihanna or somebody's like that is like, yeah, like hugs him and he's like,
based. Oh my gosh.
That's what Batman's doing.
Yeah, no. I backed out before this freaking event happened, and I'm very happy that I did.
Yeah,
I love Batman, Bruce Wayne, the Dark Knight, this character that has endured for decades and decades and has been enjoying this great period of, from going from the goofy 60s Batman stuff to, this great period of like being a serious and well-regarded character is now just Will Smith and Catwoman is Jada Pinkett. And he's just, like just simping all over the place. It's just unbelievable.
Keep Selena's name out your mouth.
That was perfect. Like nothing's gonna top that moment, and it's so on point. That's what's sad. Oh my gosh,
it's so ridiculous to me. And then so like pretty soon it's gonna be. She's like, I've never even met Batman.
I've never even met Batman. What is this? I did want to highlight real quick. So Yoel said there's something to be said for 30 episode seasons. Yeah, I mean you get something to invest in, and I don't know. That's a
30 episode season since the 60s, but
yeah, I mean,
22. Did you also notice this? So originally a half hour was 25 minutes, right?
Mhm.
With 5 minutes of commercials, right? And comics were 24 pages or something to that effect, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Then TV went down to 22 pages or 22 minutes, and comics went down to 22 pages. Then TV went down to 20 minutes, and so did comics went down to 20 pages. Isn't that strange? They followed TV all the way through.
Oh yeah, it's I'm not a fan. I miss the days when you could go pick up a comic and it was 26 to 28 pages for like $2.99. But yeah, I kind of looking at this 30 episode season, 20 to 24 episode seasons. It's one of those things that I miss it and I don't. The one thing I miss about like a 24 episode season is you had time that if you wanted to kind of throw in that kind of slice of life episode, just kind of like get to know the characters, you could, and it wasn't a big deal. Kind of like when Chris Claremont would have the X-Men play baseball. You got that breather within everything, and it's usually timed at a perfect point right before you hit that rush for the end. I miss that element of television. I can't imagine writing that many episodes within a season is a tall order. It's a lot of work, and I don't know if I'd want the writers of today doing that. So
you know what I miss? I miss when those 30 episode seasons would have at least 2 flashback episodes, which was basically just a clip show.
Oh yeah,
characters sitting around going like South Park parodied it like they do everything. It was just so brilliantly where it was just a bunch of flashbacks of the old things, like and then the characters going, "Boy, that's what I call a sticky situation," and then they'd all laugh. Like that was the comeback to every like flashback they would do. And then they had the great one where it was like, hey, remember all those times Kenny died? And they're like, what are you talking about, dude? Kenny's right here. And Cartman's like, huh.
That's awesome.
Of course, they did that to save money. That's the whole reason. So.
Yeah, hey, yeah, you got to do some filler and knock out a few episodes, pad out your season a little bit. Now we only get 8 episodes in the season, and it's padded to the moon like Ahsoka, like just filled with so much useless bullshit. Yeah, it's like, what are we even doing here? Like, or even Secret Invasion, did that need to be that long? No. Even some of the Netflix shows, which man, I would go back to the worst of the Netflix shows. I would go back to the first season of Iron Fist now over the stuff we're getting on Disney Plus any day of the week. And even those episodes, like especially Jessica Jones, I was like, this could have been like 3 episodes shorter.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, there are definitely times where they could have edited down and they didn't. Yeah.
Cut those minutes out and add them to Daredevil, which I want to see more of.
Absolutely. I would have totally been on board with that. The one thing I was going to say that's like a lot of network shows started doing too was they started breaking their season up into what they call pods. So like you'd have your full season of like 20 to 24 episodes, but they would break it up into 3 like mini stories for that season. And it worked well. You'd have your character arcs, which would go all the way through the entire season. But your plots would kind of like you'd have your hub here or your pod here, get that story done, and it would kind of lead into this next story and this next story. And I found that really helped with the momentum of shows to keep you invested instead of hitting that like mid-season lull where it's like, okay, we're killing time until we get to these last 5 episodes. So if they came back with that kind of strategy, I think you could see some really good stuff from longer form series. But I don't know if they will. We do have Eric Breen that hopped in. Does that mean Selena is sleeping with one of Damien's classmates?
Yes. And it's spoiler.
Oh, no. Poor Tim.
He started it.
Yeah, I know, right? As far as Cy Spurrier goes, you'll put he's a friend of Gaiman, ? That might actually be a good assessment of why he gets the amount of work that he gets. Because he doesn't even...
like in his 70s? Like, how old is Cy Spurrier?
They're both, I think, they live near each other. I think they kind of have similar haunts and stuff and know each other personally. But I know that when they tried to relaunch some of Gaiman's books, I guess, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, he hand selected Cy Spurrier to come in and write one of them. So, I mean, it tracks, but I don't get it. I don't get Cy Spurrier.
It's you do see a lot of that, unfortunately. It's like, well, hire my friend, and it's like, well, your friend is nowhere near your talent level, but but hire my friend. Come on, do me a favor.
Oh yeah,
and he's such a nice guy, Neil Gaiman. Anyway, I met him like 20 something years ago. I met his parents at a convention. And they're like,
nice.
We're Neil's parents. Then he walked up, and he was the nicest guy ever. So
yeah,
I can see him kind of.
It was.
I can see him kind of going to bat for somebody.
Yeah, even at the height of his career, which is when I met him, and he was doing like, you know, he do go to cons and do like a midnight reading and things like that, and you would go to it, and you know, it starts at midnight and it goes to, you know, God knows how long for him to do the reading, and then afterwards he'd still stand around and talk to you for, you know, 20-30 minutes, just individually. So, you know, that was at his peak as far as comics went, you know, not necessarily his peak as far as selling off his properties and getting TV shows made and all of that, but even then, just super nice guy and super generous with his time, just a down-to-earth guy, it seemed like.
Yeah, everyone that I've spoken to that's interacted with him or worked with him has only had super positive things to say about him. And then Joe has met him on multiple occasions, and he's always had very positive things to say. So we need more people like Neil Gaiman in film, television, and comics, because I feel like you'd have a completely different industry if you did. There's something about people that just have a passion for good storytelling and want to see good stories, and want to lift people up to make sure that happens.
As opposed to people that go to Twitter and call you all sorts of names.
Yeah. What's wrong with you, you bigot?
People who say that characters are ideas, yet they only ever bring an idea to the table.
People that have conversations with AI, Chat GPT to figure out their stories. Those people. I just
had a conversation with my character, and man, they're just the best.
They're the best. My character is totally based on me, but they're the best. Yeah. Sorry, we're talking about Mags Massaggio, so just gonna throw that out there. Jana had commented after Zach's comment about, you know, having characters doing the heavy lifting. She put, "What about world building?" I would say this is something that tends to be left off or completely ignored quite a bit in current television, film, and comics. And it's one of those things like comics, it's difficult because we kind of talked about how efficient you have to be with your storytelling in comics. But you used to get a lot of world building through the art and what you would see in the backgrounds and kind of how they would frame panels. Now you just have splash pages of color. I don't know. How did each of you approach your world building when you're going about your writing?
So I think some people like create the world before they they start writing the world before they introduce the character. And I think that some people, like publishers, think that's boring. So you have to start out something in a novel wise anyway, or in a movie. You have to follow along with the character first and have like the world develop around that character. And I think that's the way to, you know, make it a little more compelling, as opposed to saying in the world. Like I met with a budding writer, somebody wanted to write, and I'm like, okay, what's the movie about? Well, it's about a world. I'm like, no, it's never about a world. It's about a person. You can't say it's about a world. And so fix your pitch. And so I think that's some of the problem that we have, because we really haven't gotten too much of the world. Let's bring up One Piece again. So we built that world as he's going to different places. We're building the world as we go. And Ahsoka, you know, I don't even know what they were trying to world build there. I mean, does anybody have an idea about how they were trying to the world between worlds? Who even know if that's what it was? And then we go to the other galaxy and it looks the same as this galaxy. You know, are they trying to build anything? It's the weirdest thing ever. So.
Well, the other thing is, I think they don't feel like they have to do any world building, because all they're doing is ripping off what exists anyway. It's a copy of a copy of a copy with Star Wars now.
Except that you're adding Middle Earth to it.
Yeah, and the thing that you really realize when you watch all of the Dave Filoni stuff is he's not really ever created anything. He's only grabbed things from other properties or from the expanded universe, which they decanonized, and he cannibalizes it all and he stuffs it into Star Wars. And it's never really explained how any of these things work together, or what any of these things mean. It's just like, oh, this is the thing now. So the world between worlds is just a thing now. I needed something to get Ahsoka to survive because that's my waifu and that's my favorite character and I need to make it all about her. And logically, she should have been killed by Vader before A New Hope, but I don't want that. So how do I get her out of this situation? Oh, okay, well, we'll do the world between worlds and we'll grab her out, this little time thing. And then everybody was like, oh, they're going to use the world between worlds to decanonize the sequels. And you're like, yeah, sure they are. And, because none of that planning ever happens. So, when you look at Ahsoka, when you look at Book of Boba Fett, when you look at all of these things that they've made, all they can do is break down, cannibalize, and destroy the things that George Lucas and the expanded universe writers put into play. That's all that they can do is move those toys around and try to tell a story with them, but they're not good at it. And that's why Star Wars is in the state that it's in now, is because nobody has any new ideas for Star Wars. And there's plenty of things that you can do with Star Wars. I know that Red Letter Media said that, like Rich Evans has said that, there's just nothing you can do with Star Wars. And I don't think that's true. I just think that the regime that has it has nothing new to bring to the table. So that's why those things don't work. There's no world building because the world already exists and they're not interested in the world. They're interested in telling whatever it is they're telling. And it seems to be the Force is female is what they're interested in telling. And look at how strong this character is. And look at how poor a character Luke Skywalker was. And so that's the only story they're interested in telling. And there's no world building at all.
Yeah. So I met Timothy Zahn. In fact, he's on my book for me. And I asked him, because this is before Ahsoka came out, because I was excited about Ahsoka. And I said, so they're bringing your character into this and your whole, universe. And I said, how's that going to go? And he's like, well, I met with Filoni and he gets it. And now I'm like, oh, no, he didn't. He just didn't get it. He didn't understand it at all.
In other words, Timothy Zahn said a lot of things to him. And Dave Filoni nodded his head. No, okay. And then just could not implement any of it. Because Thrawn is a smart character. Timothy Zahn is a smart writer. So Timothy Zahn can sit down and he can craft the scenarios that Thrawn is going to react to that make Thrawn look very intelligent and make Thrawn look like he's, this master strategist, because Timothy Zahn is like, setting that all up and knocking those little dominoes down when he wants to. Dave Filoni is just like, then they're like riding at the ship and Thrawn says, fire all the turbo lasers, but they all miss because the characters have to survive. So this Star Destroyer, which is capable of decimating a planet, can't hit two people on space horses, or can't even like bombard the area in such a way so that they don't have to have a direct hit. They just get hit by, shrapnel or by collateral damage, or there's, it's just everything's on fire and they burn to death. That doesn't happen. And then we cut back. So Thrawn's gambit failed. And, his little move that he told his people to do, which wasn't even that smart, wasn't smart at all. It was just fire, goes, well, this is exactly as I planned it. And folds his arms, because that's what we all do. We all fold our arms to show how smart we are. And it's a dumb person's idea of how to write smart characters. And if you take any time to analyze it at all and not just clap like trained seals for the jangling of keys in front of you, you go, this doesn't make any damn sense.
It doesn't. This conversation actually kind of leads into a comment that Yoel had, and he put directors involved with everything. It's like when pencilers ink or artists write. And yeah, I mean, like, I think Dave Filoni would consider himself more of a director than a writer first, because I think that's what he got his credits for, was directing some of the animated series episodes, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, he also had a writer's room. He wasn't the only one writing that shit.
Right. And even
and
when you have
it all past George.
Well, that too.
He had to pass it through George. That's right.
Yeah, that's right. And I was going to kind of compare this to artists when they tend to write. There are plenty of stories that artists have written for comics that are okay or solid stories, but the execution is not great. And it's because they tend to not be able to understand the nuance of writing, whether it's going to be story structure, whether it's going to be the diction of your characters, how you have your characters. The fact that your characters are actually characters and not just the same voice repeating the lines that you need to have happen. Those are the nuances that kind of get lost and you don't have when you go to someone that's not trained to do what they're doing.
Well, I wrote in one of my videos, I wrote there's two different types of writers. One that takes I'm talking about pre-existing characters. One that has the pre-existing characters and writes stories around what that character would actually do and has their characters remain as they are. Then the second one is they have a story, they inherit these characters, and then they shove them into that story as fistfully as they possibly can, so the character's non-existent anymore.
Yeah.
And look at Power Girl. I mean, I read Power Girl #1. That wasn't Power Girl. I don't even know what the hell I was even reading. So what the hell was that? Fire and Ice. What the hell was that?
Oh, God.
Fire and Ice.
Fire and Ice. Not joking. The pitch that was given was pretty much a superhero story reminiscent of Schitt's Creek, but in the DC universe. And you know, I love Schitt's Creek. I don't want that in the DC universe, like especially with 2 established characters that are now acting nothing like they should be acting. Like so many of our creatives are just so misguided with what they're doing, and no one's stepping in to say no. And that's one of the biggest problems we have right now. Like whoever these people are that are an authority, whether it's an editor or a producer, someone for the love of God needs to say no.
But Josh, I read on the beat that Marie Javins is doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, I'm hearing from multiple contacts she can't be contacted to save their life. So
what's she writing?
Marie Javins is the head editor for DC. So
okay.
Yeah, so it's like she seems to be like for a while nobody even knew if she worked there anymore.
Agreed.
Like, you know, there was a big question of like whether or not she was there. Apparently she is still there. But somehow is more AWOL than Jim Lee, who, you know, doodles on his pad through meetings apparently, and just seems to want to show up on red carpet events, and, you know, take a picture in front of the new Batman statue that's in front of the office, or, you know, whatever is going on. It doesn't seem like there's anybody there with like a firm hand on the wheel.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that case for Star Wars, though. You don't think that KK was involved with Ahsoka?
Oh, I'm sure she is. Like, you know, I don't know what her level of involvement with anything is, you know, from all the turmoil that we hear, but you know, whether or not that's true. But I'm sure her fingerprints are on everything. Like, you know, and then, you know, you go and you see Dave Filoni's wife with, you know, her little, like, she thinks she's a witch and she's got her little Hail Satan mug and everything. And then this show is about witches. You know, witches are now in the Star Wars universe. And yes, the witches of Dathomir have existed before. You know, they existed, you know, like Dathomir came from, I think it was the courtship of Princess Leia from the expanded universe. And, you know, the Sith witches are based on the initial idea for Darth Maul, you know, like who that apprentice was going to be, like a really scary apprentice. George told the artist, draw me your worst nightmare. And then he drew it. And George said, okay, draw me your second worst nightmare. You know, so those things existed, but they existed filtered through George and his knowledge of what his universe was supposed to be. And now it's just, there's a bunch of witches running around and this is Lord of the Rings now. You know, we're working in all this, you know, we're really focusing on the fantasy side of this space fantasy, but you know, that isn't what Star Wars is. Star Wars was, you know, basically like a cowboy story mixed with a medieval fantasy story and then set in space. But it wasn't just one thing. And
well, apparently now there's a whole lot of samurai shit in there now too.
Oh yeah.
Could he lean any more into samurai shit with the pants and the sword, and I don't even know what the hell anymore.
It's to the point that they're even calling people Ronins. It's just
they even said that. That's true. You even said that.
Yeah, it's crazy. I do kind of want to take this topic and segue. We're going to go into some MCU shows, not necessarily to talk about the show themselves narratively and what we're expecting, but more so to kind of dive into what's going on behind the scenes, how they've been approaching writing these things, that sort of thing, because it fits in with this idea of, you know, writing movies versus writing comics. I'm going to start off with pre-sales. The Marvels, it's supposed to come out. Pre-sales are terrible. It's the same level as The Flash, which is not good. But, you know, you've got this concept here where you had the first movie, which, look, I will say objectively, subjectively was not great. You've got Miss Marvel, which is the worst viewed Disney Plus show that they have. And then you're bringing in Monica Rambeau to kind of fill that void. But once again, it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier. It doesn't seem like there's an actual focus on a single character to tell a story, nor do I even really know what the story is.
It's Freaky Friday.
It's Freaky Friday. But where's my comic book story? And even within that, it's like, you know, we're getting this supposed.
Who wrote it?
Who did write this?
That is an excellent question.
Is it the director that wrote it?
I mean,
or
I'm sure
no?
I'm sure it's by committee, like everything else Marvel's been churning out in Phase 4 and 5. But there will be like a name attached.
Yep. It looks like Megan McDonald, Alyssa Karasik, and then Nia DaCosta, who is also the director.
Yeah, well, that sounds awful.
So so a bunch of people that have they were brought in because they were women and had no experience in comic books.
Yeah, pretty much.
And write me a female centric show because we want to do Barbie. So yeah, there we go.
It's going to be interesting. Well, you had the whole incident of Nia DaCosta coming out and saying like, oh, we're doing something different with this. Instead of being super serious, we're going to be silly and fun and kind of be a little wacky. And I'm like, have you seen your stuff, the MCU stuff from the past year and a half, 2 years, 3 years? This isn't different. And then now that the pre-sales are so low, she's now come back out and been like, I mean, pretty much when you're working for Marvel, you're just a puppet of Kevin Feige and you can't really do what you want to do anyways.
Yeah. Well, Nia DaCosta was the one that did
Candyman.
Okay, that's the only thing she was Candyman? Okay, I'm thinking about a different person.
I think she did Candyman. Let me look up real quick.
I think you're right. I thought she was the one that did the other movie with the sci-fi one, but I guess that was a different one.
She did Candyman, Little Woods, and it looks like a small film called Hedda.
Yeah, so barely anything.
Yeah.
Let's give you a $250 million film.
Yeah. Well, and you hear about how the fact that like they bring these directors on and then they have to have a second unit director do all the action because these directors don't know how to do actions. They don't know how to work with the CGI team. They don't know how to do the visual effects people. They don't know how to work with them because they've never done anything like that. And it's like, why are you putting these directors in charge of this big movie? And this isn't just about female directors. I mean, I had the same questions back in the day on Fantastic Four. The first one was Jessica Alba, where they said, "Oh, Tim Story, who did Barbershop, is going to do Fantastic Four," and I was like, "What?" And you got now. Granted, I would take those Fantastic Four movies over anything in Phase 4 and Phase 5 again, but they're not good movies. But I would still take them over what we're getting now because these are so much worse.
Well, at least they had Dr. Doom was horrible, but Silver Surfer was decent. So at least it had the idea of the characters were there, as opposed to now where it's just.
I would say that Julian McMahon was a good choice for Dr. Doom. They just never let him play Dr. Doom. Like
right. The character wasn't there.
Yeah, and you look at that costume in the first one, and it's like that costume is awful, and like his powers are awful. And they bring him back in the second one, and he looks a little better, and he's going to steal the Silver Surfer's powers, and you're like, okay, that's kind of Doom. And then he's like. Creates a whirlwind and is like, let's go for a spin, and you're like, oh my god, like dude, Doom does not pun.
No,
like he's not that kind of villain.
No, he only talks about himself in the third person. The first person. Yeah.
I would.
Doom's greatest power is his matchless mind, which makes his power whatever he chooses it to be. That's like the kind of grandiose kind of Dr. Doom.
I would love to see what Dan Stevens had planned for Doom. The actor Dan Stevens had kind of come up with a plot, and it's supposed to be really, really good, and then never happened. But who knows? I'm crossing my fingers that whatever they decide to do with Fantastic Four is decent at the very least. I'm quickly
sweet summer child.
I know, right? I'm just hoping for the best, man.
Bless your heart, Josh.
I know. We talked about this on Saturday with benefit of the doubt, and I'm like hanging on by a thread, just praying for something to come along, and it's just not working.
Well, I love the Fantastic Four too, and I haven't even picked up a Fantastic Four book because I haven't liked it at all.
Yeah. It's been rough for a while. Flaccid, of course, is coming in, giving me crap. Man, I can't wait to see Josh simp over this trash movie. Listen, I simp for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. That's it.
I will say that just judging by the trailers that I've seen for this movie, I can say that I think there are two big reasons to see the movie, but none of them have to do with the characters or the plot or the action or any of that.
So wait, what are your two big reasons?
Brie Larson in that sweater.
Okay.
And that's 2 in 1.
You can't get past it in that trailer. Like, and I'm not even somebody that generally would even notice things like that because I'd be caught up in the trailer. But I'm like going, man, this trailer is so bad. And then it's like they just like they really just push her out there in like the tightest sweater that they possibly could. And you're just like, oh, it's like kind of like when they were doing the PR repair on her, and they sent her on one of the nighttime talk shows, and she had like the really low cut, thing. And I was like, I didn't even know that Brie Larson was busty until this moment.
Yeah, she definitely looks much better in this film because they didn't go for sex appeal with the last film, which look, I know there's an argument about that, but sex sells to a certain degree, so have a certain air of sexiness.
And I think too that I actually started to like her more when I saw that because I didn't have a particular feeling on her one way or the other. Like there's a couple movies that I liked her in. I didn't like Captain Marvel. Obviously, I didn't care for her interviews where she was trying to like pander to the Hollywood audience. Those were terrible interviews, and they did her no favors.
Yep.
And I actually kind of like started to come around and like her a little bit when they just asked her at the Disney event. She's at D23, and they're like, "Oh, you gonna do Captain Marvel 3?" And she's like, "I don't know. Does anybody want me to?" And I was like, I felt like people were like, "Oh, she's coming off as so bitchy," and I was like, I don't think she is. I think she's coming off as like, I don't know. What do you got? Like the studio's a mess. These movies are a mess.
Yeah.
The internet hates me. Like, what am I supposed to say?
Yeah.
And you know what? I didn't mind Captain Marvel as much as everybody else did. I agree with what everybody said, that it's a surface level. Even the comics. I even said this in my review because I bought that stupid Captain Marvel Assault on Eden crap. I don't know why I bought that, but you know how they've dissected and deconstructed all of these other characters, but nobody's ever done that with Captain Marvel. Nobody's delved any deeper besides the surface level shit with her, and that's the problem. There's nothing out there with her, even on the comic side, that has any more besides this. She's dead woman walking.
And the writer, most of your writers today in comics aren't capable of doing more than that. So it's probably a lost cause, at least for now. I was going to say the one thing I'm actually looking forward to with this film is Iman Vellani, because I think she has so much charisma and is so likable. And if there's one moment from that trailer that I'm like, okay, I'll go see this, it's when Gus kind of has his tentacles come out and eats the person, and she just like freaks out and screams.
Oh, yeah, she's like, oh.
Oh my God! Yeah,
that's my problem is that through the whole thing, she's shrieking through the whole trailer.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just one big shriek. So I'm like, you gotta tone this shit down.
Yeah, I think I didn't mind the show. I thought her show was halfway decent. I don't like the character. Like, I'm not obsessed with the character, but I thought the show was fine. I thought she was excellent, and I'm hoping that she'll be able to bring something other than that. But yeah, you're definitely not wrong.
I like her
there.
personally. Like, yeah. It's like I don't have any feeling about the actress that plays Monica Rambeau one way or another.
Same.
She's a blank slate to me. Like, she was fine on WandaVision. I think she's pretty. She looks kind of cool in the costume. But it's like, but everything that any attachment that I have to her is because of my attachment to Monica Rambeau, the comic book character, and I know I'm not going to get that. So like that has to kind of like go out.
Although the last comic I stopped reading after issue 2.
It was so bad.
I had a nice cover on it though. That was bad.
It was within the past year. I'm trying to remember. It was like so just like need a woman to come in, take care of things, kind of writing. Like
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
As far as the actress goes, I feel like they made the mistake between her and the actress they had playing Maria. They should have switched them.
Really? Because I can't stand Lashana Lynch.
Really? I think she's so much better.
Really? I hated her in James
agree
Bond.
with Aaron.
And even in the first Captain Marvel, I did not.
And even in Woman King, she just comes off too hard.
She comes off, very try hard. Like she comes off as try hard to me. Fair.
I think she had.
You can only have Alfre Woodard in the Marvel universe so many times. I'm surprised they haven't like tried to go to like Viola Davis because now she's the new Alfre Woodard where she gets every role.
Pretty much.
But yeah, no, I like her better than I like Lashana Lynch.
Gotcha.
But I just don't think that they've done anything with her. And like I said, I've turned the corner on Brie Larson. I actually would love to like get a drink with Brie Larson and just like hear her story. Like, because I just kind of think it'd be kind of interesting. to hear that perspective. Her PR people obviously are not the best. Because they'd be kind of like directing her better. But I think Iman Vellani, I agree with you, Josh. I think she's adorable. I think that she's got like just personal charisma. I like her personally. She's a nerd. She loves this stuff. And it's kind of the Kelly Marie Tran situation where it's like when I first saw Kelly Marie Tran talking about being in a Star Wars movie, she was so excited and so like cute and like, it was like, oh man, she's getting to live her dream and be in a Star Wars movie. And then the Star Wars movie was The Last Jedi, and the character that she was playing was Rose Tico. And it was just like, oh.
Sorry,
so, I hope this is better for Iman Vellani than that was for.
Yeah, I also thought that the actress from Lovecraft Country or whatever, Lovecraft County, I thought that she would have been a good Monica Rambeau also.
That's actually not a bad idea. Like she's she's
extremely beautiful. So
yeah, it's Smollett. It's Smollett's the sister. Journey Smollett.
She played Black Canary in the.
She played Black Canary also, but she's really shined. I thought in Lovecraft Country. Not that that show got boring, more and more boring as things went on, but
it never got better than the opening.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. Like it was still interesting the first couple episodes. I was into it, and then like there was just like a drop off for me, like where I was like, all of a sudden I don't care. And you
don't want to come, like you're trying to talk yourself into going back to finish the episodes. I felt the same way with that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go ahead and move on. So Daredevil Born Again scrapped. So and I think there's a couple of things here at play, but the first 4 episodes were pretty much written and filmed. Marvel came, looked at it, decided they didn't like it.
Legally?
Huh?
Scrapped. Oh, they're redoing it.
Yeah, so what they had done for the first 4 episodes, scrapped. They're just tossing it in the trash. They said they might keep a few things, but for the most part, it's going away. And they're going to completely restart, rewrite, change things. And some of the story beats that had come out about this, it's probably a good thing. So it was revealed that the reason we weren't getting Foggy and Karen was they were going to get killed off screen in the first episode. Bad way to start. You weren't going to see Daredevil in his costume until episode 4. And that pretty much out of the 18 episodes, Daredevil Matt was going to have his own story running through. Kingpin was going to have his own story running through. And pretty much in the last 3 to 4 episodes, their stories would come together. The feedback from people working on the show was that it was boring. When people working on the show say, yeah, this is boring, it's not a good sign.
Here's my question.
Yeah.
You're in production on this. You're 4 episodes deep. And then somebody from Marvel comes in and goes, oh, wait, this is crap.
Yeah.
What happened to, hey, what's the pitch? Okay. Yep. Now, here's the season all laid out. Here's my story beats. Here's everything on the wall that we can look at. Okay, this doesn't work. Take this out. This should probably move over here. These are
I don't think there's any oversight anymore. I think they just hands off it. They just say, here, go. That's the problem. There's
that's
no
fine if your showrunner is Stephen J. Cannell and he's just like turning out hit after hit after hit and pulling thing out of his typewriter and like that's fine, but those auteurs don't really exist anymore, and you certainly haven't been hiring them, Disney. So the fact that you just don't even look at it until you've already spent $100 million. What do you think was going to happen?
100 to 120 million. It's like out just flush down the toilet at this point.
And you don't think it happened with Lord of the Rings too? The TV show?
Oh yeah.
I mean, there
couldn't have been any oversight there.
But Amazon, with Amazon, you could almost understand it because you're they've never done this before. Right. Disney has been a studio for the entire 100 years of its existence.
Yep.
What an embarrassing centennial this has been for the Disney company.
So since we're kind of talking about the behind the scenes, I'm skipping to this slide, and I put it's the secret invasion of it all. So one of the things that came out with this kind of Daredevil conversation, and why are we getting 4 episodes in? Why are we getting 100 million in, and then deciding to scrap it? And one of the things that came out was Disney Marvel's approach to this was, well, this isn't a series, it's a special, which is a bullshit response. But they haven't been hiring a showrunner, and essentially what they were doing, and this is what happened on Secret Invasion, they went out, they hired a quality writer. They got Kyle Bradstreet, who was one of the main writers for Robot Man. Brought him in. He wrote the series.
Mr. Robot.
Mr. Robot. Sorry, Mr. Robot. Came in, wrote the scripts, got the season series set up, pretty much delivered it to Marvel. A director came in, was gonna, be doing all the episodes. Apparently, there was an altercation between him and Samuel L. Jackson. Director got fired. This other director kind of came in last minute, Salim Alani or something like that. But then at that point, Kyle Bradstreet's completely gone. There's not a showrunner. And then this director can go through and change whatever the heck he wants to change for this show. And he has free reign to do it. And that's when you had, Robert Miles Burnett talking about, I read the script for the first episode of Secret Invasion. It was vastly different than what got filmed. And it's because this director got to come in and be like, I want these characters to say this instead. I want to do this instead. I want to change this. And it was someone that's not qualified to be making these decisions, but that's how they've been approaching every single one of their Disney Plus shows. And it was to the point that even Marvel executives were saying, we had some issues with Falcon and the Winter Soldier because things came up. We had the pandemic. It impacted filming. We felt like some plots we needed to back off of because of our situation. And then this, unfortunately, was just a disaster.
Well, I've seen interviews with this director, and he seems like an idiot.
Oh, my God. I mean, even his skill at directing, the thing that he should be doing, was so poor that I hate to think anyone would let him touch a script. None of it made sense. Frank, you said you didn't watch this show, correct? You don't. Believe it or not, it's worse than She-Hulk. It gives Thor: Love and Thunder a run for its money. It gives Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania a run for its money. It's bad.
At least Quantumania still had the charm of Paul Rudd. So even though you're like, oh, this is one of the worst things I've ever seen, you're like, I still love you, Paul Rudd.
Lily with a lawnmower to her head. I don't know what the hell was going on there.
Oh, they tried to do the whole comics accurate haircut, and it didn't look good.
Oh my God, it's bad.
No,
and they did the same with Brie Larson in Endgame, and oh my God.
the
at least they had Rocket. At least they had Rocket make fun of it.
Yes. Oh, you're gonna get another haircut?
Too busy getting that haircut.
Oh, that was a great moment.
The reason I didn't watch Secret Invasion is because I'm a big fan of Spider-Woman, and she and Elektra were the ones that actually started, right? It was those two characters that were the pushing point for Secret Invasion, and then you had all the superheroes. How can you do Secret Invasion without superheroes? It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, at the end of the day, Secret Invasion should have been an Avengers movie. With whatever Avengers you had on the table, you should have had
introduced the other characters. You could have brought in the Elektra from the Daredevil show, and you could have introduced Spider-Woman that wasn't pregnant and race swapped and all that stuff.
Yep. I liked that Spider-Man movie, but yes, I completely agree.
At least I can look at that and say, okay, it's a different universe.
Agreed. 100% agreed. But yeah, I mean, it just goes to show that there's not anyone actually planning and pulling the strings behind the scenes with this stuff. And I think it's always questionable if you're just going to give one person free reign and not check in. I guess things got so bad on set for Secret Invasion that they had to send executives down there just to get people to film. And I mean, that's your.
Here's the question: you have this Avengers film, right?
Yep.
You have this Avengers story, and who and why would any executive say, you know what? Let's just make that a television show and change it completely. I mean, what is the decision making behind that? Any idea?
Yes. So I've got to look up. His name's Kareem something. So when Bob Chapek took over, Kareem Daniels, he assigned a guy named Kareem Daniels, who's a numbers guy. He got free reign to decide what was going to be a film, what was going to be a television series based on what he thought would bring in the best metrics for that property. So he's the one that was pretty much,
Apparently he was wrong.
Yeah.
His numbers are completely wrong.
But what we're seeing, kind of what we've seen from the past year to this was him kind of coming in saying, series, show, or series, movie, series, and it was a poor decision. And why you would get a numbers person to make creative decisions is beyond me. I think it's one of the worst things you can do. But it's highly documented about him, and not even for Marvel, for Star Wars, for Disney in general. He was making decisions what was going to be a series, what was going to be a film, and then beyond that, if it was going to go to theaters or just go to Disney Plus, no matter, even for the films. But
how do you spend
because you had the
$280 million?
Yeah,
what's that? I walked up.
I was just gonna say, like, and the fact that there's none of the heroes in this, except you got Don Cheadle.
Why is it so expensive?
Yeah, it's like, why is it $280 million and you don't have Chris Evans? You don't have you don't have any of the main cast showing up. You just kind of throw in. It was probably filmed the same time as Wakanda Forever. Thrown in Everett Ross. They probably filmed that at the same time.
Probably
he was on set, and that they knew that they were going to take him out of it anyway. He wasn't going to be a major part of it. But you spend that much money and you don't have anybody except Don Cheadle, and then you decide after the fact, Armor Wars is going to be a movie now because so many people showed up to see Don Cheadle for free. They're certainly going to want to pay for him. I have no interest in Armor Wars without Tony Stark. None.
Agreed. It'll be interesting. It depends on when that comes out. But
the funny part is that they did set up the Kree in, Captain Marvel. They set up the Skrulls.
Mm-hmm.
So they had this whole thing kind of set up to do Secret Invasion.
Yep.
And then let's just trash it all to start something new and destroy, a character that Samuel L. Jackson has been playing with for how long? Let's just destroy him completely, like Indiana Jones. It's just like
a character that he likes playing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I can't believe that he did this. Like, he's just such a sorry ass sad sack to this whole thing.
And then they killed off Maria Hill on top of everything else.
Yeah, and everything about this film, everything about the show, from a character standpoint, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. You've got like, this all feels like backwards writing. Like, we want the Skrulls to be mad at Nick Fury. What can we do? Oh, well, he did promise to find them a planet, and he didn't do it, and he's been using them for like espionage. And everything that he's done throughout the years that he's got this reputation for being a super spy was all done by the Skrulls. So basically, he's just an administrator, and now he's a broken down, sad piece of crap. And it's like, what am I invested in? Who am I supposed to be invested in? Am I supposed to be invested in Emilia Clarke? Is there anything that she's ever been in besides Game of Thrones that anyone has been invested in Emilia Clarke's performance?
No,
never. And she's even starting to hit that wall where, like, she's not cute anymore. Like, she's, I'm not saying she's unattractive, but she's not cute, and like, they're putting like dark eye makeup on her and making her look kind of like gothy, and because she's moody and she's angry and she's rebellious, and it's like dark hair, dark eyeliner. It doesn't work for her face. She should be, like light makeup in a romantic comedy. That's
well, she tried her hand at romantic comedy and didn't do well either. So
yeah, well, I mean, they don't really do that well anymore. But she'd go do some Hallmark movies. Those do very well for what they are. Just I want to be sitting at home at Christmas watching her try to run her mother's bakery, and her mother just died, and now the guy that she's interested in, that she grew up with, her childhood sweetheart, he's I don't know, he's got the mother's recipes, and he's entering the baking contest. I don't know, whatever the Hallmark movie is, but that's better for her than being in things like this, and then trying to make her happen as a main actress, as a main character.
Yeah,
it didn't work. Nobody was invested in Gaia, and when you get to the big confrontation at the end of Nick Fury's damn show,
and she's she's the hero. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And she now has so Frank, I don't know if you know this, but she now has pretty much every power of every superhero.
Story of it. I just didn't watch it.
Oh,
also,
so
DNA apparently transmits tattoos and rings.
Yeah.
So if you're wearing a ring and someone steals your DNA and duplicates it, your clone will have the ring, your clone will have your tattoos.
Yeah. That Drax arm. Oh,
and now
God,
they've
it was
ruined
so
the
bad.
Super Skrull. So for Fantastic Four, they've now screwed that up. So everything that these people are doing are screwing up the potential of future things as well.
Yeah. So Ideator put the show had absolutely nothing to do with the comic. Yeah, I mean, at all. I'm going to kind of flip back real quick. So we mentioned Daredevil's getting scrapped. They're starting fresh. They're also, from what I understand.
What's Vision Quest?
So Vision Quest was going to kind of pick up with Vision, White Vision, in his state and trying to, like, I guess, discover himself in this world. And it was, yep. It was supposed to bring in Viv Vision as well, so his daughter from the Tom King comic. And then it's just like, do we need a show for each of these? Do we need a show for Wonder Man? Do we need a show for Vision Quest?
It's not even Wonder Man, though.
It's not Wonder Man.
It doesn't act like Wonder Man. It's just completely, it's a She-Hulk situation.
Yes.
Well, at least She-Hulk was green.
Fair. But yeah, so it sounds like both of these shows got scrapped. And the main reason I wanted to talk about this is because I feel like, for a good while, into a growing degree since Endgame, I feel like fans have kind of been like, yo, stop, hit the pause button, get your shit together, and go write something that's good. And then we find out that they're scrapping these projects because they're not good. And I'm seeing a lot of people be like, oh my God, there's such a mess. Oh, ha, ha, ha. And I'm like, this is kind of what we wanted. Now, whether or not they actually get good writers in to pick these up and deliver, that's the key. But I do think that taking the having enough wherewithal to say this isn't working, get rid of it, is the first step in a positive step.
Don't make either of these.
Yeah, no.
Don't try to reboot them. Don't try to come in with fresh writers. Just, these are both bad ideas out of the gate that are going to lose you money. Just cut them.
Yeah. If you wanted these storylines, you just need to do another season of WandaVision some way, somehow, and incorporate both of those into that season.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need Wonder Man. You don't need Wonder Man. First of all, that's never going to go anywhere.
Yeah, fair.
It's not. Stop. And especially the way that they've cast it, because anybody who is invested in Wonder Man no longer cares.
Right. Anybody who knows the character is not going to that character anyway.
Yeah, they decided to do the race swap, and like from the moment I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, I'm not interested. I would have been I like Wonder Man in the comics. Yeah. I was a big Avengers fan, big West Coast Avengers fan. So, I would have been excited to see Wonder Man done right. But I already know they've gone in a completely different direction, and it's just they're doing what they did with Secret Invasion. They're doing what they did with Age of Ultron, where they're just taking a name and they're putting it on something that's not the thing.
Plus, when normies see Wonder Man, what's the first thing they're thinking of?
Wonder Woman.
Exactly. Is it part of the Wonder Woman universe? So it's not going to even do anything for their brand.
No, at all. Although I just, the Nathan Fillion fan in me wishes we would have gotten Wonder Man 10 years ago when it was kind of being tossed around with him as the character.
He can still play Booster Gold.
Oh yeah, agreed.
No, Chris Pratt is Booster.
Agreed. Yeah. Nathan's gonna be Green Lantern.
Hal Jordan.
No, redhead.
Guy Gardner.
Yeah. So
I don't know how I feel about that.
We'll see. I would prefer him as Hal Jordan, but
what did you think of the new Green Lantern comic? This issue. I
have not read it yet.
Okay. I still need to read it. I think it's issue 4. I still need to read it. I thought, I don't know, and it might be DC's publication strategy. I really enjoyed the first issue. I thought it was a solid start. And I feel like we got the second issue, which I felt like kind of meandered. And then you had that like 3-month hiatus or 2-month hiatus because they did that at stupid event. So I feel like they shot themselves in the foot because, and with what's exactly happened, like I haven't felt motivated or the need to pick it up and go read it.
So obviously I'm friends with Jeremy Sweat, but we start out with this thing with Sinestro, and then he has planted bombs throughout the city, and he calls in Flash to help him get rid of the bombs, and then they're just chatting. That's the entire issue. So I felt it was a throwback, but almost too far back.
I know that Max on his Friday comic review wrap-up thing show, they had pretty much said the same thing. They said that there was a lot of stuff in the issue that reminded them of Silver Age comics that they enjoyed, but they felt like so much of the comic was just pointless.
Yeah.
So
that's correct. Yep.
I mean, in fairness to Jeremy, I'm gonna say that he probably, we're still within a time frame where he didn't think he was gonna be writing Green Lantern. He thought he was gonna be on the Flash still, and they pulled the rug out from under him.
You definitely he can't get rid of the Flash. He needs to have him like it's like a binky.
Yeah, so it's like they pulled the rug out from under him. But let me ask you this, just going back to this, Josh. Had they shot any of Vision Quest yet?
Vision Quest, no, it was in pre-production. I think they had started doing some filming for Wonder Man.
So the show about Vision that picks up from where he was left in WandaVision was going to come out, what, 2025?
Probably
How many years removed from WandaVision?
Probably 2026 or 2027. Yeah.
Who cares?
Agreed.
Even if you were invested.
Plus, wasn't he like completely robotic at that point? Like the White Vision didn't have any memory.
No, they asked him a Star Trek logic loop question, and then he was like, "Oh, I guess And then the fake Vision transferred his memories into the new Vision, and he flew off to discover himself.
Okay, I missed that.
Could have been interesting if you would have followed more of the comics. If you wouldn't have killed off Robert Downey Jr., granted, I guess Iron Man did have to die, but you didn't have to write out Captain America. I mean, I know these actors were getting expensive, and Victoria Alonso thought, it's just the mantle that people care about. People don't care about the actual character, so we'll just be able to put, we'll make Falcon Captain America, and it'll be fine. We'll introduce Ironheart. It'll be fine. If I may.
Right, like even in the comics, Carol goes up to Captain America and Falcon Cap and recruits Falcon Cap and doesn't say anything pretty much to Steve. It was the weirdest thing. He should not have been in that scene. But.
Well, Steve had to go to the college bar and let some communist college students make him feel bad about himself. So he had a prior commitment.
We're pushing the 2-hour mark. I do want to get to one last thing. Real quick, and that's
Josh. You're so professional.
I know.
You're just keeping us on track. You're not letting us just like run off.
Well, I'll quickly run through these. Loki performing almost on par with the first season, which is kind of surprising because I'm not hearing anyone talking about it. Aaron, I mentioned this to you. I'm actually enjoying Loki season 2 so far, and I hated Loki season 1. So we'll see how that goes.
My problem is with Loki is I expect to see God stuff. I expect to see Viking stuff. And instead I get Legends of Tomorrow.
Fair. You do get some actual Loki this season, which is kind of nice.
A little bit of power.
You get some Legends of Tomorrow. You get a little bit of Office Space. That's what everybody wants from Loki.
Yep. Deadpool 3, a lot of updates coming out. Just FYI, you might start seeing potential castings for MCU X-Men in this, which is kind of a change of plans. And don't be surprised if you see Taylor Swift popping up as Dazzler, because I promise you there's a reason she's at football games with Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, and the director.
Oh, I thought it was just she was going to Jets games so that when you Googled Taylor Swift Jet, you didn't find out how much carbon she contributes to the environment by.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably part of it. Like a little bit of boyfriend, a little bit don't search for my jets, and oh hey, I'm here with what's the director's name? Sean Sean Levy. So she this last game, she was Sean Levy, Hugh Jackman, and Ryan Reynolds were all with her, and I was like, oh geez, I wonder what's going on there. The 2 stars of Deadpool 3 and the director. And then Avengers Secret Wars is supposed to be a soft reboot, which thank God, which should bring Tony, Steve back in. It'll be different actors, so we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah,
but,
I don't think that it's going to work.
I don't think so either, but
you got to give it 10 years, man. You got to give it 10 years.
For Star Trek to do, so.
I was going to say, at this rate, it's probably going to be 10 years anyways. So.
No, that's a good point. Everything that we've seen in the meantime has made us so sick of it, we just don't care anymore.
That's going to be the key. We'll skip that. Seinfeld might be coming back. They're having talks. That's all it is. But I wanted – dadgummit, you piece of crap. There we go. I wanted to kind of touch base on this because I know Frank had some stuff to bring up about the SAG strike and where we are and what's going on. So I want to pass this to him real quick and let him kind of run with some
last updates. I heard was that Fran Drescher sat down with the major streamers and said, we want $1 from every streamer Period.
What?
Yeah, so they were like, so you want us
$1?
to increase all of our things by $1, and that's going to go to the actors, or is that going to you, SAG? They're like, no, it's going to come to us.
Is that John Noble in the lead?
Possibly. I just pulled a Google image.
Did you really? It looks like John Noble. It's like
it might be.
He's the SAG after strike is going about as well as Denethor running.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things that it's like, I feel like a lot of what SAG was asking for were valid requests. And then
all the AI stuff is completely valid.
I completely agree. And it's this what Frank was just mentioning is kind of like the big hang up here, that I think they offered them like 15 cents or 20 cents per subscriber as a payment. And then they're like coming in, SAG is coming in being like, no, it's $1, take it or leave it. And I'm like, man, this shifted real quick from people being in your corner to people being like, look, we need to get back to work. Like, just take the freaking deal. Why is this the hill that you're dying on?
Your general population is not going to like that, because now everything's going to be $1 more.
It's going to be $1 more.
So they're going to push it to the general public that can't even afford anything. So now we're just going to drop shit. So that's the problem, that they don't understand. Whether they keep pushing, if they push too far, then the amount of work that they're going to have is less. So they're actually screwing themselves over more than if they just left things the way they were.
Yep.
Well, this is what's happening with the writers too. With the writers, it's like you had all that time off where you didn't make any money. So now you're in the hole. You lost that money. And what you gained in the negotiation, depending on how it shakes out, there'll be less of you going back to work.
That's right.
So some of you will do much better, and some of you are not going to have any work at all, and you're going to have to find another career. And meanwhile, the people that I'm really feeling bad for is all the production people, all the caterers, all the lighting guys, the electricians, everybody, everybody who is caught in the middle of this. And it has no dog in this fight. They don't get another dime if the union wins. They don't get another dime if the studios win.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of sad. And honestly, at this point, so many of these studios need to be out of streaming anyway. Yes. Paramount needs to be out of streaming.
It's going to happen too. It's going to happen.
Disney needs to be out of streaming. Disney Plus is an anchor around that company's neck, and it's not going to get any better, and it's not going to get profitable anytime soon. And if they're cutting back on content, there's nothing new to add to that service. The only reason to have Disney Plus is so that your kids can watch Bluey. That's it.
Is that on Disney Plus?
Yes, that's the only thing that's driving people. That's the only thing that's driving their minutes, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, fair. I feel like most of the people get Disney Plus too, not even for the new Bluey, yes, but aside from that, not even for the new content, but just to have access to those films.
What did you add recently? Haunted Mansion, that did extremely poorly, and Little Mermaid, that also did poorly.
Yeah,
I mean, now everybody can watch it and get their morbid curiosity out of the way. See how terrible everything was. But and that Little Mermaid movie was terrible.
I haven't seen it. I'll watch it at some point. But
I mean, you saw the Aquafina song, right?
Oh God, yes. No.
Yeah, that pretty much. Yeah, that's the.
And she wasn't any better in Renfield. I sat for Renfield.
No, I did too. And there were so many things that I wanted to like about Renfield, and it's like I was like,
Nicolas Cage did a good job, though. He was interesting.
Yeah, he did great. Nicolas Cage was good, and Nicholas Hoult, I think, is always solid. He's always good. But yeah,
he played the same character as the zombie character. The zombie movie. It's the same character.
Yeah. That was I can't remember what that movie was called. That was actually a decent movie. It was a fun movie.
Yeah, Warm Bodies.
Yes, that's it. But yeah, we're talking about the strike and everything that's going on. We mentioned you and the other thing I want to bring up, and this is more WGA than SAG, but the whole Drew Barrymore situation where she tried to bring her show back for the sake of making sure everyone else that works on her show could have a paycheck.
Yeah,
and then she. Yeah, and they hung her out to dry for it, and she's pretty much canceled at this point, which I think is sad. And that was one of the things I was going to bring up is the thing that I saw when I was in LA and I moved out there to work on writing, and we had that first strike back in 2007, 2008 was the sheer amount of people that weren't writers that were struggling because of writers. And just my perspective is I'm all for trying to create a better work environment for you, but not at the expense of everyone around you. And that's what was happening.
Well, I told you what happened with me. I got people working with me just to work for free, just because everybody wanted to work.
Yeah. And it's crazy, you know. But I have friends that are costumers, hairstylists, makeup artists, and they were struggling. So many of them chose to leave the industry because of that writer strike. And some of them have been in the industry for years. My neighbor was a hairstylist, and she had worked on films like Interview with the Vampire. Like she had done legitimately really good work. And she was even saying, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it at this point.
The bigger problem that, SAG-AFTRA and WGA and all of Hollywood faces is the fact that they don't have a monopoly on entertainment anymore.
No.
I watch so much more YouTube than I do any streaming platform or any, it's like and maybe it's just because I'm getting older, but I enjoy discussions about things so much more now. Yeah. I like to hear different perspectives. I like to hear things examined. I like to watch Mahler, and I like to watch him just like break down a movie to such a, ridiculous degree that, because it's like, I like to hear people thinking about things and, considering things and just kind of like dissecting them and examining them from different angles. So I've switched over to so much of that, and it's really allowed me not to care about any of these products that they're putting out. And it is just product. It's not really art anymore. Most of the things that come out are product. And everything is just like so spread apart on a different streaming services. And if you wanted to even watch those things, like I would love to just put on The Office or put on Parks and Rec. I'm not paying for Peacock. I'm not going to do it. When you guys had a good thing when everything was kind of consolidated under Netflix and all the studios were getting paid from Netflix. Yeah. And now everything's so splintered. Hollywood has actually accelerated its own demise.
Yep.
And that's what we're seeing. You guys, I hate to say it, but SAG, WGA, as much as I sympathize with you, as much as I think that, you should always, fight for better working conditions. You picked a bad time when all the studios are losing money, and you picked a bad time because they don't have a stranglehold on entertainment anymore. And you did it right after you spent years and years alienating half of your audience.
Yep.
It's never going to go back to the way it was. You guys are basically buggy whip manufacturers right now. And you're kind of seeing it, for all of you in Hollywood that mocked the coal miners and things like that, saying learn to code. It's come back around to bite you in the ass, because that's the situation you're in now. And that's part of the reason you're not getting the groundswell of support from the general public that you did on your previous strike. There's a lot of factors, but that's one of them.
Well, plus they played into the studio's hands because they wanted to have time to wipe the slate clean. And that's why they got rid of J.J. Abrams' contract, Greg Berlanti's contract.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
What's the other chick that did Velma?
Kaling.
They got rid of, Warner Bros. Just wiped the slate clean because they were waiting for the force majeures to pop in there. That's why they kept walking away from the table. The reason they walked away from the table on the SAG one just recently was because you want $1? Get out of here.
Yeah.
Not happening. But everybody says, we need more independent film. We need more independent film. Well, if they keep raising their rates, it's not possible. So I don't know what the end result of this is going to be as far as, I keep hearing like 30% rates. I don't know.
And it's only 3 years. It's like, okay, so, the writers have gone back and but they're standing in solidarity with SAG and not going back to work, right? At least most of them are not going back to work. Well, the clock's already ticking on your new contract.
Yep.
So however long this takes, you've burned through that on your contract. You're going to be up for renegotiation in 3 years, and don't think the studios aren't going to be prepared for that. Don't think that they've spent all this time putting things in place to screw you, and they're going to do it. They're going to get it done.
And don't strong arm, because this is also not the time of year. Like, we're already halfway through October. If we get a month further into this, you can just pretty much call it quits until next year, because once you start hitting,
everybody knew that months ago.
So
all the crew members knew that it was. In fact, I said mid-Feb, till January. Everybody was like, "Oh, we hope it's that." I'm like,
yeah.
I think Fran Drescher is out of her depth as the leader of SAG-AFTRA. That's just my personal feeling. Just based on kind of what I've seen, it just doesn't seem like
she's trying to act like a Don Corleone on the thing here.
Yeah, and the thing I've always said from the beginning of this is, okay, so the writers, they got their contract, but do you think a lot of studios are going to be like wanting to hire like Adam Conover again?
Nope.
After the huge nuisance that he made himself, he cost himself a lot of work. You can strike and you can you can do this, but at the end of the day, the goal is to go back to work with these people.
Yep.
And if you piss them off to such a degree that they don't want to work with you anymore, they don't have to work with you. You can have all the contracts that you want, but if nobody hires you,
what do you think is going to happen to Rachel? What do you think is happening to Rachel Zegler? Do you think Rachel Zegler has a career anymore?
Oh no. Like they've already yanked her off Paddington 3?
Yeah.
Like she's
maybe,
already off
like
that.
In 6 years she'll do a couple of little remember where Katherine Heigl kind of got pushed out of Hollywood, and then you saw her turn up in a pet food commercial here and there, and you were like, oh my God, that's.
She tried to do her own YouTube channel.
Yeah, there used to be such a and she didn't. I would say that she did not make herself half the nuisance that Rachel Zegler has made herself.
Yeah, and she was a much bigger name.
Yeah, Hunger Games. You think that's going to affect Hunger Games?
Oh yeah. I think it will. I don't think Hunger Games had a huge shot to begin with.
No, I think that train's kind of already left the station.
Yep.
So interesting.
Well, I mean, I might be surprised, but
we might. Hey.
I'll and as far as Snow White's concerned, you hear about the Daily Wire?
Yeah.
No.
Daily Wire is making their own Snow White.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, with some conservative commentator, her name's Brett Cooper, and
yeah.
It's
she's a child actress. She was in Hollywood for years. She has an amazing singing voice. She was singing, I forgot, Leanne Rimes or something like that. She had a duet with Leanne Rimes. She can fucking sing.
Nice.
So, but yeah, that's her singing on the trailer. But yeah, well, you also know they put what's her face from Mandalorian? What's her
Gina
name?
Carano.
Gina Carano. They put her back to work too. They did a film with her too.
She makes so much money on the convention circuit too. Whenever she shows up at a con, people line up to meet her, and it's one of those things. You think people are going to be lining up to meet Rachel Zegler at conventions?
Yeah, and she's a really down to earth person too. I met her at a dinner because what was that movie that she did with everybody makes fun of it. Anyway, my friend was in the end with that, so I got to meet her, and she was very down to earth. So.
She seems like a real sweetheart. Even when people were mad at her and calling for her blood, I was like, what? This is ridiculous. The things that she's saying are so innocuously, just middle of the road kind of common sense, but you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that on social media.
Not well, it's changing now, but then you definitely weren't. So.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a shift going on.
Oh yeah. So I think the next 5 to 10 years is going to be really interesting to watch unfold, because you're going to see that pushback to from a corporate standpoint, let's actually make some money.
It's already happening. Yeah, the whole ESG thing is already dying.
Well, and with Nelson Peltz, there's Bob Iger talking about how exhausted he is, and it's Nelson Peltz pushing to right the ship at Disney. I mean, there's going to be a huge shift, I think. Assuming that
it's going to take
assuming that World War III doesn't happen.
I mean, the Disney's such a big entity to right the ship is going to take years.
You have so many. It's funny, we were talking about Secret Invasion. That's where the Secret Invasion occurred, was within Disney. All of the political operatives that Bob Iger brought in, thinking that he was going to run for president. He was going to become president after this stint at Disney. And, right off into the sunset as this conquering hero. It's really nice when you see somebody's hubris and arrogance shoot themselves in the foot. He could have rode off and left Chapek with Disney, and everyone would have said how he was the greatest CEO of all time, at Disney. They would have just sung his praises, but his ego would not allow him to leave, and he had to come back. And now he's getting hit with the boomerang of all the terrible decisions that he put in play. Yep. It's you were a great CEO when the money was just coming in and all you had to do was buy things and not really understand them or know how to make them work. But like as soon as the money started to dry up and these things needed to be, in working condition and generating revenue, it's just all those chickens have come home to roost, and now you're stuck with it. And you're so exhausted. Well, you made this bed.
Oh,
you
yeah.
made this bed. You left and then came back and said, "No, that's my bed." And laid down.
He is the Eric Bischoff of film, television / Disney.
Oh, yes.
Did you guys have anything else you wanted to add on this topic real quick? No. All right.
No, I mean, I can't think of anything. I just, I feel bad for.
Who?
And I don't feel bad at all, but I'm going to say that I feel bad.
What's the big figure in the back there? Is that a Galactus holding somebody?
Yeah, that's Galactus holding Reed Richards. And then he's also covered in Sparrow, so there's a little crossover happening there.
Nice.
On the Transformers, do you not think that they drew the human characters too tiny?
Oh, in the new comic?
Yeah.
Maybe. I'd have to go back and look. I wasn't as
They
high
were
on that.
like Lilliputian trying to push the gun. They were like, the gun was like this big, and they were like not even as long.
Yeah, you have to remember that Prime is a truck that only in full transformation mode only stands like 20 feet tall. So it might be. There
Right,
are
because
other things with the comic that were
normally the
taking
people come up to like his knees or whatever else, which means the gun is only, how wide? How wide would this gun be?
Yeah.
5 feet tall.
Everything in that book was so over the top. I mean, Prime gives a belly to back suplex to Starscream. Like, what are you going to do?
Well, I also thought that Jetfire there, he didn't know anything that was going on, right? He didn't even know that anything that happened on Cybertron because he thought Starscream was good, right?
Yeah,
but
he
knew to come to Earth.
I guess you could. Hey, where'd everybody go? Oh, what's this? shows that they took off. Like he's like, I was on this mission in deep space. I come back, everybody's gone. I found these coordinates. I guess I'll go check it out. Since you brought up Transformers, I've been showing off the the 000 Megatron for So, but yeah, no. The thing that I think is funny is
I remember GoBot, and I know some.
I know some pretty amoral people that want to be Hollywood actresses and actors and things like that. I've met some pretty immoral people, and they keep trying to make it happen, and this is like, it's like, oh, you're especially for the female members, it's like, because of the ageism in Hollywood, you've got a very limited window to be that ingenue, and clock's ticking. The longer the strike goes, the longer this goes. Clock's ticking. You're getting older. It's kind of funny.
Absolutely. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up. So I'm going to actually start with Frank. If people want to find you and check you out and see more of your stuff, where can they find you?
So I am. I'm definitely on Facebook, and my YouTube channel, as they put out, is at Destiny Horizons. I am trying to build that channel, and I am on Instagram and TikTok and all the stuff that for not being on that have to be on. And remember that I have my Destiny Aurora and Tales of Ravenor, the Iron Witch book, and this is all on Amazon. It's also on DestinyAurora.net. And then my Vampire Mob set in the 1950s, Lords of LA. I am going to be launching the second issue probably within the next month. I will be doing a Kickstarter for that. And this is 48 pages, so I don't do normal 20 pages or 22 pages on my Kickstarter because I want to give some kind of things. Marilyn Monroe's in it and things to that effect. So
nice.
And it's a damn good read. I can attest to that, and I can also say it's a very professional product. If you guys have backed some crowdfunding books by industry professionals, I'm going to tell you right now, Frank delivered a much more professional and interesting product than a lot of the crowdfunding books that you probably already have in your collection. So,
some of them I get, and some of them are just female, genitalia everywhere. That's about the extent of it.
You're not wrong.
some of my writing has actually been wrapped in some of those covers. So what are you gonna do? But at least I tried to make the story matter.
Absolutely. Yes.
wishes on that. Thank you.
Of course. And then some of Frank's links are in the description for this video, so make sure you go check it out. We try to give you easy access to it. Mr. El Beardo Magnifico, where can people find you?
Everybody in the chat they already know.
Fair.
They already know where to find me. They're already tired of me.
Right? We already follow you on Twitter. Go away. I will say you are doing more with Wes, and I did put the Patreon in there. Wes has got a Patreon now, and he's doing more conversations with Aaron. And even one of his tiers is, what is it, Aaron's never-ending Christmas tree?
Yeah, my eternal Christmas tree or whatever.
That's what.
Through March.
So you should definitely.
You're on Saturdays now, I saw. So you're not going to Frank's Frank and Sons anymore?
No, we actually pulled out of the Frank and Sons show because the business there has not been good. The crowd has been really and business has been good everywhere else, even in the midst of this terrible economy and what everybody's paying for gas, especially in Southern California, groceries. But people are still buying collectibles.
I heard it was like $7.
Yeah. There's a place right down the street from Disneyland that was like $4.59 today, and I was like, "Oh, pull it in here," and filling up. But everywhere else has been like over $5.
Sheesh.
Crazy.
I won't rub in that like $3.20 that we have right now in Texas.
I want to move to Texas.
$3. I did get my new Scarlet Witch, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Hot toys?
Yep. Yeah, I have a fetish, so all this stuff.
What show was yours from Multiverse of Madness or from WandaVision?
No, the one from Madness didn't come out yet, and there's my Kate Bishop that came out. What's that?
I was gonna say I saw a picture of your Kate Bishop earlier, and I thought it looked really nice.
That's really cool. There you go.
He's missing it. I've got Wanda as well.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, mine's the same one as yours. Yeah. Because I did order the other one, but it's still delayed. China thing is delaying everything. Yeah. Like the Doctor Strange I ordered that one's delayed too. I did get my Cad Bane in though.
Nice.
So the only one I have outstanding, and then I got both Lukes. I got the Luke with from Mandalorian, the black, and I thought that one was really cool. But then I got the Bespin one in, and I'm like, oh, that one's far better. I don't know why I like that one better, but I do. So I got Vader and Luke squaring off, and it comes with the head from Dagobah. So
nice. With
the mask partially blown up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then I'll even. See, I told you I got a problem. That's I got Hela and Pepper Potts and Wasp, and then I have the Mandalorian Boba Fett up on top there, and then this doesn't include the stuff that I have downstairs. That's my Lord of the Rings sword up there from Liv Tyler.
Sweet.
My 2 black hole. And then Highlander. I have the Highlander sword up top. I don't have a blade sword, so I'm kind of upset about that. But then my whole Guardians thing up top, and then I have. Men with hats and beards. I got Ming the Merciless and Man with No Name, my Cad Bane, and Freddy Krueger. And then I have a whole pile of them downstairs, and I have a Tila that's like just freaking tall. So, I have too many.
When I first met Frank, we walked around.
Around
Frank
I was going to bring that up.
Hot toys.
What was I looking for specifically?
You were looking for, was it Captain Kirk?
No.
What you were looking for? No? What was it?
Nope.
Was it something Star Trek?
I
think we were just talking a lot about Star Trek.
Yeah, because
I can't remember.
The Leia Hoth, which I still haven't gotten yet.
That's right. Everybody was asking a ridiculous amount.
It was like $500 for Leia Hoth. So I haven't gotten that one yet. I have the Leia on Endor. That's the only Leia.
Well, in fairness, none of the guys at Frank and Sons are making any money, so they got to try to get what they can. That's why we left the show.
Yeah, I've just recently started trying to get either statues or hot toys, and I don't know.
All I get now is hot toys, and it's a problem. it's a
problem. Yeah.
I thank God they have like the layaway plans.
Yes.
I just ordered the Savick. And what else did I order? I ended up getting the Hera. So
that hair looks pretty good though. Like,
yeah, the Hera
figure itself looked good.
Sabine looks like complete garbage.
Yeah.
And the chopper, I'm thinking about the chopper.
Nice.
Well, I mean, if Sabine looks like garbage on the Hot Toy, then they captured the look from the show.
Yeah,
she just looks awful on the show.
At least Hera looked like the cartoon except for the face for the most part. At least she looked like the cartoon, but Sabine looked nothing like the cartoon. I mean, just nothing.
Yeah.
It really bothers me how much I liked Rebels and how much Ahsoka made me hate all the characters from Rebels.
I know. That's why I look. Oh my God! Wow, it's going to be like the cartoon come to life. Thank God they didn't bring Zeb into it.
Well, he would have been expensive. That's the only reason Zeb wasn't on there is because he's too expensive.
Sheesh. Yeah, no,
they blew their budget on all that caked on blue makeup and Thrawn's terrible hairpiece.
Oh man, yeah, I was one of those looking forward to Ahsoka, and it just quickly fell apart.
Okay, so
how do you direct Rosario Dawson into having zero? How do you do that?
Have you done any film, Josh? Have you done it like been on sets?
Yes.
Sounds like you have. Okay. So when you're working with a stunt coordinator, right? This is how they tell you to do the moves, right? Because I've worked with some big guys. I worked with Eric Chen, who did like The One and Pirates and all this shit. So he doubled Jet Li for years and years. So when you're doing the layout for the choreography, you do quarter speed, then you do half speed, and then you do full speed, right? I don't think Rosario Dawson ever got out of half speed.
Nope, at all.
And why wouldn't they double her? She's orange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she has a whole headdress. Like,
you could double her extremely easily, but they didn't.
You could have thrown a skinny dude in that outfit and no one would have ever known.
You're probably right.
You could have taskmastered the shit
twink.
Out of her.
There you go.
And then on the other end of the spectrum, you could very clearly tell when they had the stunt double for Sabine. And oh man.
But also the problem was that you could tell that Anakin, what's his name?
Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
Hayden Christensen, that he was trained. He was actually slowing down for her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because he went through the whole back thing, and then he would stop before he hit her because he was afraid that she wasn't going to catch it.
Yeah,
I think it's great that he's kept up his lightsaber training over all these years.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can tell he was blowing her away, and so disappointing. Because then you match that, and everybody makes fun of The Witcher, right? Everybody makes fun of it, but the fighting in there is fucking top notch.
Yeah.
So
I'm having I did Thursday streams weekly to discuss each episode of Ahsoka on another person's channel.
I did one also every.
Oh man, it was just rough. It was rough. So
Wes is still mad at me for making him watch it. He says I made him watch it.
He shouldn't be mad at anybody when he makes Doc read all that bullshit.
Right?
But he goes, he says to me, he's like, so I said, oh God, I said I went to a friend's house and he put on Ahsoka, and so like I watched most of Ahsoka. Oof. And he's like, you watched Ahsoka? Oh, now I gotta watch it. And I'm like, you don't. And he's like, we gotta discuss it on the show.
Acting.
And I'm like, we really don't.
I'm acting. Okay. I'm acting.
I love it. Oh, maybe now I gotta watch it.
The entire series.
So Sabine, your character in this is stoic. Now Ahsoka, the role you're gonna play to complement that is stoic. And Hera, your role is going to be stoic.
Yeah,
You're the best mom ever.
It's bad when a droid has more personality than anyone.
Yeah, well, I mean, and then you know what's weird too? They keep bringing in all these actors to be the droids. You're like, yeah, we got David Tennant, and it's like he shines through. And then you got who was the droid in Book of Boba Fett who played 8D8? It was he's on Matt Berry. You got Matt Berry, and you didn't let him be Matt Berry. You didn't let him go. You just used his voice, and he came in, just delivered like flat droid dialogue. That's all you did.
Yeah. But
Taika Waititi gets to be all wacky, I don't know. It's so misguided. Like, look, Star Wars had Lizzo and Jack Black. It's dead. It's dead, guys. It's dead.
Yeah.
Stop thinking it's going to come back. It's never going to come back.
She was the worst. I mean, poor Dallas Howard. She had 2 of the worst episodes to fucking direct.
Yeah, and the first season, like her episodes, I think I remember being good. Like I really liked Bryce Dallas Howard.
Well, the one she had was the one that was like the Magnificent Seven situation.
Oh yeah, which by the way, Filoni had already done on Clone Wars. We got to build up this village. Like they'd already done that. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like he doesn't bring anything to the table. All these people that are like, oh, he's the savior of Star Wars. No, he's not.
But you know how this works.
He's the guy tending to it in a hospice.
When you direct an episode, the first episode, a pilot, then you get paid for everything, a chunk of everything, no matter who directs it from that point on.
Yep.
And you're also the one that makes the tone.
Yep.
So he wrote that Bible for that. So all the other directors had no choice but to say, I'm acting. I'm surprised they had her smile at all through any of it. You know?
It's a mess. It's all a mess right now. So I keep hoping for better.
It just needs to go away.
Yeah, it needs to take a breather. Take some time off. They'll never do it, but it needs to. They'll do it when it's already even further in the hole than it is, and they're just
and it'll be radioactive. It'll be radioactive.
And they're making I didn't even finish Andor, but they're making a second season of Andor that nobody even watched. So I don't understand. You're making a sequel, a second season to a failed show.
But watch, they're going to dramatically cut the budget, so it's like it's gonna be like the Masters of the Universe movie. They're gonna have to go to Earth and be like in a gymnasium.
Oh no.
We use the world between worlds to end up in Canada.
Oh god.
and now the Andor show is in Canada. And we've hired Director X.
Yo, I'm bringing Robin in the Hood into the Star Wars universe.
It's hip hop. We love beef.
Hey, those talking about low budgets. I got invited to a movie in Detroit. I guess that Tubi has become like the Urban Channel.
Really?
And they're all doing like $100,000 seasons, and they're making like 3 times that off just the ads.
I mean, there you go.
Yeah,
it's like
that's how it should be done. I mean, like the whole point is to make money, and somewhere along the way we forgot that.
Got his stuff going. So,
sheesh. Yeah.
And did you see my video on? I got to go to Trilith for the Cinegear thing, and Trilith where they shoot all the Marvel stuff, and I'm looking forward to Flower Moon coming out. A lot of my friends here worked on that, and but the Trilith volume, I did like a little video that I put up, like a short on YouTube, and that thing is, my God, that thing was huge. I mean, it was immense.
Yeah.
But it looked real, and the guy that was in the coding portion of it, he could take the city and move it. Like he can move it down the street. I'm like, can you do a fake drone shot with that? He's like, probably. It's crazy. So yeah, the technology is blowing through the roof. That's for sure.
Yeah. If we learn to wield it instead of rely on it, I think
it's like $80,000 a day.
Yeah. Oh God.
And that's
I'll take $80,000 a day. Why not?
And that's just for the rental. I don't know what else it doesn't include. Does it include the air conditioning and the site rep? And I don't even know. But I guess when you go to that numbers, I guess an extra couple of grand here and there is no big deal.
I think what we've discovered today is we need to take over Hollywood and we'll make things better, right?
That's right.
Alrighty. We are hitting that 2.5 hour mark. I do want to call it a night. And I will say, Frank, thank you so much for coming on. We got to get you back on here. Once your Kickstarter gets going, let me know. That way we can come kind of promote your stuff and get it out to certain audiences and sell some books. Of course. Yeah, good. And then Aaron, thank you for popping on, sir. I appreciate you as always. You make me look good. So
and that ain't easy feat.
You know, it's funny. I would say that I take some of the heat off of you, but you know, you've been quite the heat magnet lately.
I have been. I definitely have been. It's my tolerance is getting shorter and shorter. So
Wow, I don't know what's going on there, but okay.
yeah. Oh, I've just been making. Usually, I would stay reserved with some of the comments I make, and lately I've been going on my tangents and just being like, "And F this bullshit." So, but yes, to the chat, guys, thank you so much for being here as always. If you're tuning in on a playback, I appreciate you watching. And yeah, make sure you come back, see what we've got in store, and let us know what's popping your culture. All right, y'all have a good night.
Thanks, guys. Good seeing you guys. Appreciate it. Night.